everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hey, everyone. How are we doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing very well. Welcome to Geekin Out. This is where we get together every 2 weeks. We get together and we talk about the culture. So tonight we've got some.
You got to specify which culture, though.
Oh, the geek culture. Hello.
We represent like 8 cultures.
Oh, that's true. Well, they all kind of come together. Actually, they all blend together. But we're all joined at our geek culture. So, welcome to Geekin Out. Well, I'd like to introduce our panel today. We're gonna start with our very special guest. We've got Meg Griffin. She is a self-proclaimed. Sorry, guys, I'm a little nervous today. I don't know why.
Why? Like this, like the first time.
I know this is like I don't know how many we've done now. All right. Anyway, so Meg here is our self-proclaimed amateur podcaster, voice actor, and author from Atlanta, who's with her freeloading Chihuahua roommate called named Charlie. She hosts a podcast. She hosts and produces several book-related podcasts. Judging book covers podcast, part of the certain POV network, and Minds at Yerk podcast. Unfortunately, she did not appear at an episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit while living in Brooklyn. You can find her waving poetically. Wow. You can find her waving poetically about that. Oh wow, I'm ruining it right now.
Horrible job.
No, I love
horrible job, guys.
This is so
Horrible job, guys. You know what
I'm
it is?
so sorry.
No, not at all. Do not apologize. I
haven't read this
honestly
for 3 years.
And I did practice this before, which is like really sad because I was reading it before to my friend because I thought it was so clever and it was so good.
Oh, thank you.
She totally killed it with me, and I'm ruining it. It's so terrible. Anyhow,
When I got published the first time, they were like, "You have to have a minimum of X amount of words in your bio," and I was like, "I'm boring."
I'm mad at whoever told you to write a pair. Who is the person who was your liaison? I know who it is, but I want to call her ass out right now. After every guest we done had on this show, you gonna let this girl come on here with a whole book and a half and didn't tell her?
It didn't look that long. Okay.
Look, Megan, let me hit you. Megan, this has been people's introduction before. I'm Chris's friend. I'm Durye's friend from high school.
This is the bio that goes in anything I write. This is the bio that's on my network page. It's just, I basically went, oh yeah, I have a bio somewhere here, take whatever you need. Not thinking that I haven't read through this in 2 or 3 years. I have no idea what it says anymore, except for that I updated it because I moved back to Georgia recently.
Oh, but it's so good. And I was like, oh, bitch, you need to live out in Brooklyn. And I was actually going to ask you if you still live out this way, but I guess not.
No,
now that we broached that subject.
Okay, so here's the blurb. Meg Griffin is my friend from high school. We're fellow band geeks.
Yes.
In the suburbs of Cup County. And the reason why I asked her to join this particular episode because we're talking about books, and she's like, if you listen to part of her bio, it completely fits.
Yes, she has a podcast. Yes. Judging book covers, which I actually like the name of. I was like, the name is so good. See, I killed it the whole way through. I don't know why. I'm so terrible about it. But also, and Mine's at Yerk podcast. I'm not really sure where that's from, but that whole Yerk part, I'm totally. It's reminiscent of something else that we're going to probably get to in this show in particular. So
okay,
that one totally resonated with me. I don't know. It was so good. It was just.
Thank you.
It's long. It's too long for my nerves. I don't know.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all right. Well, welcome, Meg. Welcome to Geekin Out, where I ruin your intro, but we're gonna still have a good time. Don't worry, we're gonna have a great time.
Very excited.
Otherwise, I'm Julian. By the way, I have now embarrassed myself entirely, but I am a manager of the of actually making my way out of that, guys. Leaving some of that stress behind. But I am a manager by day, geek by night, I suppose. Video gamer, book geek, fantasy, a lot of other things. And we also have next to me Rakia, She is a social media manager, entrepreneur that she's very successful at, I think, these days. And we're not these. She's grown into it more.
It's a fresh thing. It's still a fresh thing.
Yeah, it's fresh, but it's great. It's like watching you grow. It's nice. It's nice. So she's a social media manager. So if you ever need her services, you can find her. We also have. She's also a resident geek with us, of course. Then we have next the other side of me. I have Chris Steele. He's also a geek. He's manager. He just moved into management actually very recent. No, out of management.
It's H&R. Julian, Julian, get it together.
Right, get it together.
I mean, out of management into
HR. Yes, he made the right choice. See, we're making the right choices. We're getting there. It's the nerves today. And then otherwise we have Jerry A, our other entrepreneur. He is also producer extraordinaire and then geek extraordinaire as well. And then this is our panel for today. So welcome to Geekin Out. Welcome to Geekin Out. And then go ahead. No, you were just saying.
No, go ahead.
And then I thought we would just cut to a quick break.
Okay. We're going to breaks. Was not ready. My bad. All right. Before we do the breaks, actually, let's do Rakia's rant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's do that. I'm all for it.
Okay. So Rakia, explain the segment for me.
Okay. So Ricky's rant. So almost every episode, we will do, one of us, usually me, will have a rant. They give me 1 minute with a timer to rant about whatever I want, unless I decide to pass on to someone else with uninterrupted. So, in a second, I'm about to rant about some teacher things. So.
Oh, y'all, I'm so sorry. My computer is saying that I have to open some preferences and change some preferences.
Anyways, it's okay. But you know what? Like, I'm just gonna go ahead and just say a couple of things, and it won't have to be the full minute. But
no. Okay, go ahead. You're good.
Yeah, so just ease up on that. Look, y'all. I'm ready when you are.
Hey, we got it.
All right. Look, chaotic and unprofessional.
Hashtag. Ooh, then it went away. Are you ready, Rakia?
I'm ready.
All right, ready and rant.
Y'all, let's show some grace to all the teachers and the school districts and the parents and the students. No one really wants to be all virtual, y'all. No one really does. But considering that the cases are high, I know in my county, they are sending folks away to other hospitals because they have no room. So therefore, we're starting virtual. Better you find out now than, having to in the middle of the semester and it's a Sunday night and you've already tucked your kids in the bed, get a phone call from your school saying, oh, someone's positive, you got to quarantine for 2 weeks. So let's keep that in mind. No one's trying to mess you up. We're all trying to make it through here. So y'all, show some grace and some patience. Thank you.
Okay, now this is the part where we get to respond to her rant. That was not no rant. That was not a rant.
I know. And so I was going to rant. So you
built this rant up. Listen, we have this private chat that all the four of us we keep up with stuff, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna do this rant. And I'm like, what do you want to do a rant about? And she's like, I want to rant about these virtual teachers. And I was like, oh no, we can't have her online talking about teachers. Not right now. And I'm thinking, you are a teacher. Why do you want to get on here and talk about teachers? No. I want to talk about the rude ass parents. So as soon as she said that, I was like, oh yes, okay, let's do that rant. Hello, everyone. I'm like, bro, I would have went in on them parents because let me tell you, I taught for like a little summer camp kind of thing. I was teaching dance in the hood. That's what it was. I was teaching dance in the hood, and so we were doing ballet because anyone who dances, ballet is the standard that teaches you discipline And it's not flashy. It's a lot of that groundwork, right? Like a week after I'm teaching them ballet, all the parents are like, we don't want him working with our kids, teaching them that gay stuff, boo. So I know how parents can be. You understand? So I was expecting you to really bring the fire, Ricky. So I've never done this before, but we're gonna grade that rant. If this was ballroom, that's like a 5 out of 10 for me. And that's being gracious, as you so gracefully, graciously, just grace everywhere. I was like, Grace ain't got no space in a rant.
Okay, so here's my reasoning, because I've had time to reflect a little bit, because yes, but look, because I know there's some parents in my school that have been showing their behinds on the Facebook groups, their concerned citizen pages, whatever, and like they're just dogging out teachers, talking about we want a longer break. Dude, I have to go back to work. I have to go to work. It's just because we're doing virtual doesn't mean I'm sitting in my bedroom with my camera on. No, I gotta go into my school building. Number one. Number two, do not say that we should be getting virtual pay for virtual work. That does not make sense, and that's not a thing. It's twice as much work to get stuff ready for virtual, especially if you're a teacher that has never actually had to do it before. And number one, my district has the furlough as 5 days, so I'm making less money than I should be making right now, because my district had to do some budget cuts. So don't tell me that I deserve less pay. Don't do it. And keep in mind, doing virtual teaching is not easier. I've had to help a good chunk of my colleagues at my school just to set up their courses, figure out how to do this, the best way to do this and that. And like, I'm not an expert. I just so happen to know some things. So don't tell me that we're not working our butt off trying to work with your kids and help y'all out. Like, we're doing the best that we can with what we're given. There's my rant. That's
a rant. That's a rant.
That was my rant. All right.
Now we can go to grace.
I was trying to show some grace. And
sometimes people you don't need to show them grace all the time. That's why they take it. That's what they All right, now we can go to the break.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Let me just do this real quick. Get us set up. Pop. And
we are counting down the days to closing out the beautiful Frasier. And one of the things that I really love about our projects, because we named them, we built character, they're almost like your little baby, and you're ready to present it to the world. And one of the things where you look at the little details, and then we start to nitpick, and then before you know it, a few weeks turns into a few months, and before you know it, your project is prolonged more than you thought, just for the little details. But one of the things you have to do is just breathe, relax, and trust the process. Know that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. And as long as you stay in committed action each day, you will ultimately get to completion. These things and more, we help investors get their start in real estate investing. So contact us, visit us at itchjessicamyers.com to learn how you can get your start today.
Welcome back. All right, so we're back to Geeking Out. So actually, I'd like to start Geeking Out and figure out what we are geeking out about these days. All right, so I thought I'd start with our guest, Meg Griffin. If there's so this during this part, we kind of just talk about like things that are happening these days that we just really geeking out about. It's a show, it's a book, it's a magazine cover, whatever it is. I want to hear it. So
okay. So I guess most of my days are spent on either watching Cobra Kai, which I finished at 1:30 this morning, which is an amazing new season. If you haven't watched it yet, I'm not going to spoil a single thing, but especially after how it ends in season 2, season 3 is amazing and so easy to binge. And on top of that, I don't know if you guys know the artist Jen Bartel. comic book artist. She does a lot of Marvel and Image stuff, but during quarantine has been getting really into like fan art again, which is kind of how she was found, and has been doing a lot of Final Fantasy VII stuff. And yes, it's a lot of not safe for work stuff, and it is just so much fun to follow.
I like not safe for work.
Well, you know, with the whole remake when that came out, that was earlier this year, I want to say. Actually,
I think so.
During quarantine, they had a whole like Instagram, because I'm a budding artist, I suppose myself. So
cool.
So on Instagram I follow. They do like every month they do a whole challenge where, you know, every day of the month you draw something. I can never follow through. It's so hard because I'm like, oh god, I gotta draw something every day. I'm like, that's you know, you gotta have inspiration for that. It's like
30 days is a lot.
Yeah, it's like 30 days, 30 draws, like real quick, or really hard. That, and some of the ones that they come out with are like pretty solid. So, but so they when it was released earlier this year, they did like all of Instagram, at least that was filled with it, because we did like 30 days of like Final Fantasy. They did. They themed that shit out. So it was really nice. So the art that came out of it was amazing. But fan art these days is really blowing up. Yeah, it's oh god, what is it? I have to link it later. Actually, I have to let you guys know a little bit later. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But so, challenge a day, something like that. It's something like that. It's crazy. Very cool. But the art that comes out of that is amazing, and fan art is like such on the rise these days. Just because like people are able to kind of share their own art like so much more now. So it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, it's nice to see like her doing things. It's not just promoting her own stuff, which her own stuff is amazing. I have several pieces on my wall downstairs, but just to kind of, I don't know, get back to her roots in a way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like kind of like going backwards. It's like, it's not doing your own original content anymore. It's like, like taking someone else's content and running with it.
Yes.
So that's cool. Yeah. That's a cool Geek Out. I like that one. It totally hits me home. Anything else otherwise you'd like to?
Oh gosh. I guess Bridgerton is the other thing.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I heard about
I don't care. Yes.
Really fast. I just want to go really quick to Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is it's like a dojo kind of thing. You know what I mean?
So Karate Kid from the 80s.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
It's
like a Netflix series.
Yeah, it's essentially the kids from the Karate Kids.
Okay.
Grown up and still dealing with their high school drama.
Okay. So I haven't actually seen it, but is there a cameo? Is there a cameo from my boyfriend, my heartthrob? the original Karate Kid. What is he's like
the main character.
Yeah.
Cameo. Is there a cameo? No, it's about
him and
yeah. I haven't even seen the show, and I didn't tell you why I'm tired of hearing.
I really only heard like the name of it and like the buzz, and I was like, okay, I know it's like
this is something like literally, Julian. A 2-second Google search. I haven't even seen it, and I know. I haven't even seen it.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's 3 seasons in.
Well, hey, he's there. He's there. That's all that matters. That's all
okay.
Yeah.
And he looks fantastic.
Okay.
So, yes.
We love that. We love that. All right. Okay. So
Bridgerton.
Onto Bridgerton.
I want to talk about Bridgerton really quick, Megan. So this is why I feel like you got the response you just got. By the way, side note, I have to eat because I haven't eaten all day, so I'm nibbling. So if you mind, bye. Anyway, first of all love to Shonda Rhimes. We love Shonda Rhimes. We talked about Shonda Rhimes leaving ABC and going to Netflix. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that her first endeavor with them is popular. Like, it would have really sucked if it wasn't not even popular, well received. Having said that, everybody knows who knows me. I don't like well received things. I don't like to follow fads. Right. I don't like to hop on the train. Like, I'm gonna watch it later, and because then I'll know if I actually like it or if I'm just, riding the train. Like, I'm glad I waited to see Black is King.
Black is King. I knew you were gonna say that.
Because people have a tendency to ruin things for me, and you will never ruin Beyonce for moi. Absolutely not. But I will tell you this. I am weirded out about it. So I saw the previews and I was like, okay, there's Black people in Victorian garbs. Immediately, my sensors went off like, wrong, right? But there were Black people who were in like there were Moors, they were called. And so I'm like, but I can buy it. I can buy it. as long as they address it. As long as they address it in the show.
No,
if they don't address it, then I can't fuck with it.
Literally, so it's Regency period. It's
Jane Austen.
It's Jane Austen time. It's Regency, and there is a Black woman who is the Queen of England. And please don't ask me which queen, because I am so bad at that. But no, it's
Queen Charlotte. What's her name? Queen Charlotte.
I feel like it's the one before Charlotte, but I don't. I could be completely wrong. No, it is. It isn't. It is not. It's supposed to be representative of the time. It is.
Clearly.
It is, but it's fantastic.
But I guess I'm cool with it because, like I said, I rock with Shonda and what she's doing by doing that show. But for me, I would want that to be like explain why there are Black people here. We all know what that time was like for Black people. Tell me why. These Black people are rich, wealthy, and they're rulers of a white kingdom. And you're just not going to address it. Like, how this happened.
Okay. So here's the thing that,
isn't this something that we want to like kind of move towards?
Normalize? Yeah.
No, not historically. When you talk about shit.
Okay, that's right. Okay, that's right. Okay. I didn't realize. Okay.
Because I'll be damned. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Cleopatra.
Well, I guess they're the same thing.
Cleopatra. That's why. Because they keep casting white women to play Cleopatra.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Arguably wasn't Black, but she definitely was not like white.
Yeah.
So
like
they can keep doing that as long as and so to me this perpetuates more of that same thing. At the end of the day, like I'm cool with you showing historically accurate stuff. Now when we talk about things that are current, there's no reason that you can't play with the race of the president and all that, whether she's a woman or not, like we're talking about now and futuristic stuff. But historical stuff, it's important that it be accurate because people coming up after it will see that as what it was.
So it's, what if I use this phrase, historical fantasy?
Then it doesn't need to be about...
is it using
something like that
era as just the setting? Or is it...
If it's historical fantasy, then... it don't need to be about actual people. Point in case, Game of Thrones. Anybody in Game of Thrones could have been Black, and I would
not
have been
historical. That's not historical.
That's my point. Historical fantasy.
Okay,
no.
So
it's a fantasy based off of a time in our history. Not Victoria.
But it's just straight fantasy. That's just straight.
Okay. So the thing
you don't consider that medieval fantasy?
No, that's another world, boo.
Yeah,
it's still medieval, just like
there's
medieval element.
Just like if you do a cyberpunk, what's the thing that Danny was talking about? That's like almost Lord of the Rings ish for me. Like it's a completely different world, like a whole world built within its own thing. But it's based off of shit that happened here. Actual lords and ladies and knights and wizards. A whole world wouldn't talk about none of that. To me, if you're talking about an actual another world, they wouldn't have knights or queens, or there'd be something totally different because the idea that our world is just the exact same as theirs, except they have dragons, to me, that's not really creating a whole world. That's creating a world like ours that's parallel to ours. So to me, historical fantasy is a story that's either like Game of Thrones or not about real people. So in defense of Bridgerton, though, so the queen that is in Bridgerton there's supposedly has Black ancestry. So I can see where they kind of played off on that, but also like the Bridgertons themselves aren't real. And keep in mind that like this is Shonda Land, but not actually Shonda. So like. And this is based off of a series from an author that does a lot of stories within Regency time. So, I mean, that's just like their take on an already established story. So, I mean, honestly, at this point, just let people enjoy their things for a little bit. I never hate on somebody's thing they enjoy it. I just want to comment on this thing. Everything. So, people who are listening, Thomas Wilson, just said everything is sort of based on any time in history, which is the point
Which is the point where there is no real difference between, you know what I mean, historical fantasy and then just fantasy at that point. You know what I mean?
No, there is a difference because historical fantasy doesn't involve history, aka Star Wars, Star Trek. It doesn't involve history. Freaking
But that's sci-fi.
That's just sci-fi.
Okay.
Space opera.
Historical fantasy. I'm sure there's one.
Look,
I don't know.
I'm saying
The point is, to me, like historical fantasy, when you put historical in it, it has to deal with history.
N.K. Jemisin wrote a really great Twitter thread about it. And I'm not going to sit here and even try to paraphrase what she said, but I think she addresses this quite well. And so if you want more information, that is my opinion of where to start as to why this went on. Just someone who is, I think, really respected in the author community. So I just finished this. I'm not going to sit here and act like I have looked into anything about that. And
right.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah. I mean, it's Jane Austen with sex. That's what it is. So it was great for New Year's Eve.
Well, I mean, you're enjoying it, yes. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're on the upside in that way. So okay, all right, very good, very good. All right, well, okay, well, I'll do something a little bit less controversial, I suppose. Although I haven't seen this one, and I guess I'm going to have to. It is on what again? Is it who knows what?
Netflix.
Perfect. Awesome, because that's the one I have. All right, on to Chris. Actually, why don't we go with? Yeah, what are you thinking about?
A few things. There's been, a lot of new content that's kind of come out lately, or like just been kind of sprinkled into the ether lately. So, the ones that I guess I'm geeking out about the most, well, the one that I'm watching currently is Sabrina.
I knew you were going to say it.
Oh, I need to get into that.
I knew you were going to say that.
How is it so far? I haven't even watched anything.
Go ahead, Drew. Sorry.
No, I was going to say I haven't watched anything past the first episode.
Oh.
Yeah, of the new season?
Of the first season.
Oh.
Oh, y'all know that's about to be like, now that it's over with, because I like a good story. So now I'm just gonna.
I hear the ending is on all the great.
Okay.
How do you know? Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, yeah.
That's what it's good. I haven't gotten there yet.
Even though I'm binging it right now, I just have to say this season's a little bit weird, a little bit weirder. I don't.
Right.
There are just some things that are happening in this season. I'm like, why are we doing this? I don't understand. So there's that.
But weird
but
or
I'm
bad
still watching it. It's not a great weird. Sometimes I don't know. It's just maybe it'll all make sense at the end of the season. Maybe. But for right now, I'm just like, I'm still gonna keep watching this because I'm invested. But what are you correctly doing?
What are you trying to tell me here? Well, okay. I think that I did hear a little something. So I'm actually
don't spoil it.
That's what I'm saying. I think maybe we'll address this one probably on the next one when we both probably finish it, because I know I'm going to probably watch it before that. So and Chris will be done with it, I'm sure, by then. So.
Yeah, but
I'm sure.
But yeah.
Me and Raquel won't be done with it. So,
but yeah,
it's okay. We'll get to it. But yeah, I like it, and I knew you were gonna say that one too. I was like, oh, he's gonna start with Sabrina. I knew it. And I was like, and I want to watch it too, and I haven't gotten there yet. But go ahead, on to the next one. What else you got?
There is a new anime on Netflix. It's not new. It's actually kind of old. It's freaking X-Men. It's an anime X-Men.
X-Men anime that was on in Japan.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Wait. It's all of
Wolverine
it's not
and
just
X-Men.
Wolverine. It's all. Oh
no!
There's two shows. There's two separate shows. I haven't even started Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
He goes to Japan on his own, but I'm talking about the X-Men.
I'm so sick of Wolverine. Oh my god.
I think I've seen the X-Men one, or at least parts of it. I've only seen. I like because they didn't have, at least where I was pirating it off of at the time. They didn't have the full release yet. So I know I've seen like a few of those. I think.
Thomas, why are you calling me out?
Listen, anybody who knows anything about, I'm sorry, Chris, you weren't done with your.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Anybody who knows anything about me knows how much I love the X-Men, particularly because my favorite superhero is a large part of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. I didn't realize she was actually on in Fantastic Four for a good little chunk of time.
Yeah.
Storm.
Yeah.
But even besides Storm, I love Boom Boom. I love Sunspot. I love Colossus, Kitty Pryde. I love Nightcrawler.
Why are you naming all of the like really obscure ones?
These are really obscure. These are not. If you know thank you, Maggie. If you know the X-Men, none of the names I just named are obscure. I'm sorry.
I mean, I know all of them.
You're not a fan.
I know all of them.
You're not a fan. You're not a fan. Let's say it. So anyway, my point is, ever since these freaking movies came out in the 2000s, which arguably started the superhero craze, I've been inundated with Wolverine is the best X-Men.
Oh my God.
Who did that? Who decided that? Like, where have y'all been? Like, and I was talking to Danny the other day, and I was basically saying, like, they had to dumb down that movie to make him look like a badass. I was like, because really, the only time he was a formidable threat was against humans. Mm-hmm. That's it. Anytime he fought anybody else, he basically got fucked up. Yeah. Only time he, like, Lady Deathstrike was wearing him out. Bro, he lucked into that win. He lucked into that win because there was a needle full of adamantium. And I'm like, if there wasn't for that, he would have been messed up. So to me, I don't like the Wolverine and X-Men stuff, but the anime is pretty decent. I saw it.
Yeah, it is. It is. The animation is really nice in it, so it's a cool one. That's on Netflix, yeah.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix. That and
Netflix? And it's not on Disney Plus.
No, it's on Netflix.
Netflix.
Now that is interesting that it's not on Disney Plus.
Now that you mention it, that is interesting. But yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay, I'm gonna do some research. Okay.
maybe Marvel doesn't own that.
But they own X-Men.
They didn't. They only recently got X-Men
Evolution. X-Men Evolution, which is to me the best version of X-Men that exists, and the 90s cartoon X-Men are on Disney Plus.
That's true.
But I think some of these contracts still need to run out before they can actually acquire them.
That might be true because, like,
you know what I mean? When the rights are back, you know,
Disney Plus is still pretty fresh.
What'd you say?
Disney Plus is still pretty fresh, though. Yeah. So, like,
the thing about Disney, they got good lawyers. I would be so surprised if they didn't. Okay?
It's the same thing as like when Disney had like the X-Men universe, but they couldn't do like your typical X-Men storyline because Warner Brothers or whoever already had it. You know what I mean? They couldn't wait. They had to wait until those rights reverted back, and then now they can do that. Now, you know what I mean? And they can find a way to retcon at least because they've already started their own storyline.
Look at it.
Story. But you know, if they had waited for those rights to revert back, they could just do that story all over again the way they do with Spider-Man all the time. You know, but it's just that whoever they've given those rights out to already, just have them. You know,
but that's not really true because.
They have them until they run out, and then it reverts back.
Here's the difference. Sony
have to go to
the
Disney.
difference is Sony didn't sell their rights to Disney.
No,
Sony allowed them to use Spider-Man. That's why Into the Webverse or whatever, the animated one, that's a Sony production. Now all of the live action stuff is Disney. That's why that can happen because they didn't sell their rights. They just said, you know what, y'all want Spider-Man? Cool, y'all can borrow them. And so they're getting a cut of that money too.
Right. Well, it all happens in whatever negotiation or contract that they have, but nonetheless, they have a contract with them already. You know, that's probably standing for some period of time.
Gotcha.
You know.
Okay, so like, I'm looking on Netflix on my phone right now, and like, there's some things. Close the door, Forrest. Sorry. That are Marvel, but not just Marvel. Close my door. Like there's still like an Iron Man movie, not like a live action one, but like a animated one, like all the Lego Marvel stuff is on there.
All the like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, all that.
No, it's not on there.
No, it's not on there. It's not on there anymore.
I just saw it yesterday. Back on there.
Okay.
But like I'm seeing like all like the Lego Marvel stuff is on there, but like you can see some of the Lego stuff on Disney Plus too. I think. But just
Some of those
they don't have everything
because they're also Netflix productions. You know what I mean? They're Netflix with Disney, so they're allowed to keep those on their platform. But the ones that are just like Marvel, you know, they can't.
But Disney also has some Lego Marvel material on there too. So
you said Lego Marvel? I thought the Lego was Batman.
No.
Yeah, no, Lego does everything. Lego does everything. I don't know how they do it, but they have their own like contract.
It's either the difference between a partnership and then I own this and you don't.
Well, no, it's not ownership.
Disney, to my knowledge, Disney does not have a partnership with Marvel. I'm sorry, with Fox. Disney owns those rights now.
Yes.
No.
Now. Are you saying no or now?
No, I said now.
Now, yeah.
Meaning we don't know when this Netflix agreement with the anime happens.
Touche.
Right. And
all right.
And the thing is, it could just, it could like be because all those things they didn't automatically go to Disney Plus. They gradually went there. So, I mean, we don't know what the timeline is on a lot of those things. But yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, right. No, okay. Well, on to the next one. I don't know, Chris. Do you have anything else you wanted?
No, yeah, I may be geeking about something next week, or may not be geeking out about something next week. I got things to say. There we go.
Okay. Time will tell. All right. Okay. So then on to the next one then. So Ricky, what are you geeking out about then this week? Days.
So like Batman animated series. I've been binging that.
The old school one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. 90s Fox Saturday morning type Batman the animated series. Yes. It's all like HBO Plus, HBO Max. Y'all need to go ahead and just
I know. I feel like that's the one I'm gonna have to get.
Pay me some money, or like at least give me like a free subscription or something.
Right. All movie releases.
Because I will sing your praises for a good bit, but like I feel like I've said something about HBO Max like every episode, but it's all on there. So Batman animated series, all of it. Batman, yeah. Mm-hmm. So like all of the DC like animated series are on there, and it's so good. Like, I mean, feel how you want about the live action movies, but the animated stuff.
Yeah, they're nice.
Oh, so that animated series is like high, almost on every website. It's like the #1 animated series of all time.
Yeah,
like it's the Batman animated series.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I'd say X-Men is like up there as well, but definitely one of the top three.
They were used to run like the same. They were the same era of there. Like they used to come on the same channel. There's like that Fox Kids cartoon time, and like, which is why I think like #1 is nostalgia for us in our
we're old era. And we're also old enough to where our kids would watch it.
Right, exactly. So like, even though like I'm more into than my kids are, it's still on. I don't care. They just watch with me if they want to. If not, they have a TV in their own room. But if it's in my room, we're gonna watch some Batman animated series, and you're gonna have to deal. So that's. Oh, and I watched Bridgerton. I was into it. I don't care. Like it was a good distraction.
I want to watch it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Like I watched it. Like it was. I think I finished it like New Year's Eve, like in the midst of cleaning. Like it was good, and it was just it was some nice little smut in there, and I was like,
not smut. Not smut.
Some smut. It was good, and I enjoyed it.
So now that Shonda ain't on network TV, we get to see a little bit more, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I might watch just for the sex scenes. I like a good sex scene. Listen, I feel it's weird that like when I watch like scripted stuff and there's sex versus like when I watch my alone time videos, I feel so much more like when I'm watching it on a scripted, I'm just like, oh my God, oh, I can't believe I'm seeing. Is it weird that it lands differently when it's on a script?
Right.
Like I'm just like I think
Honestly, though, on the
it was
alone time
Scandal.
videos, it's like even worse. The scripting is like the scripting is what's the cringeworthy part.
No. I'm not saying like, look, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying like, okay, so when you're watching your fun stuff, I actually prefer the fun stuff that's scripted. But the scripted stuff that has a fun moment, like I remember, it was Olivia Pope. It was like the last season, and she picked up this dude in a bar. She didn't pick him up. He was also like a commentator or whatever. And she was like, I'm gonna leave you the key and you better be in my bed. What she said, she gave him some orders or something. And I'm sitting there just watching, like, oh my God. I know.
Sex montage, Taylor Swift. That's Bridgerton.
Taylor Swift is in Bridgerton?
No. It is a Taylor Swift Vitamin Strings Quartet version of a song.
Yes.
And there's the sex montage. It's the
I didn't hear that it was my understanding is they're doing covers in the
Oh yeah.
So it's like Glee meets
No. It's
okay.
like they're going to so the show's about the season. I'm trying to the coming out season when you get rid of your daughters.
All the girls.
Season.
So they're going to all of these parties and stuff. So all the background music is these string quartets of Taylor Swift.
They're modern songs.
Yeah,
sometimes some of it's not, but a good bit of it. You're like, why do I know this?
If it was anybody but Shonda, I would be trashing it because it sounds like too many things that don't fitting together. However, you know what I like? Because I feel like when you look at somebody like Ryan Murphy, he's been allowed to break so many rules. It's beautiful to see a person other than, a cisgendered white man doing that and doing it freely and it being accepted. So I'm down for it. I'll try it just because it's Shonda though. And Shonda made the best television series that's been on TV for me. Scandal was it. Scandal was it, bruh. And they did it with a TV 14 rating. How?
I don't know.
How?
Did you love the last seasons though?
Say that again?
Did you love the last seasons though?
I loved everything about the show. The only way I could have seen a different ending for Scandal, and if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert. I only get spoiler alerts if stuff is like years done with. I don't give spoiler alerts for Sabrina that just came out yesterday. But the only reason I would have thought of only better result would have been if she became the president. That's the only other option I would have taken. She left because she didn't need no man in the end. And that I'm glad about that. It wasn't like, I finally got the man. It was like, nah, I'm Olivia, I'm a G. And I feel like that whole show wasn't about her relationship with the president. It was really about her. And and also power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's clearly the theme of that show. So she would either had to become everything she hated, which she did, or she would have had to become the president. And so people who complain about it, I feel like people, when we watch these shows, we get made up in our minds how they're supposed to end. And when they don't end like that, we get mad.
And write fan fiction.
Yeah, and then you watch, but then nobody care about your fan fiction, boo. I mean, Rakia and Julian care.
Hey,
I care.
I care.
Yeah, you got them too. I don't know, Megan, do you do fan fiction?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, then I stand
You
corrected.
already talked about fan art. Of course,
Listen, look, I don't do a fan fiction. When I tell you there's a very few things in this world that I'm an elitist about, fan fiction is one. If you say fan fiction to me, my chin just hits the roof. Like I can't even just.
You would be surprised at some of the best-selling authors that write fanfic then. And about their own stuff. Too. That's
roots.
what's even better.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't think of that. That makes sense though. That's pretty cool.
Okay, so but back to like the covers that were done with like the string quartets. Like the thing with those, I'm sorry, we're backtracking. But like the thing with those, you didn't realize you wanted them till you heard them. That's how good they were. Like there was a couple, like some Taylor Swift ones.
Okay, no, that's the other thing. She just got her like rights back or something like that. So well, not really, not necessarily. So she's like
her masters. That's right.
She got something, but she's redoing all her music because she's
redoing all
she's not
music,
actually getting any of the money from her old music. Like if
that's
you
right.
listen to her old songs, and stuff, she's not getting any of that. So now she's
but like what starts off is "Thank You Next" by Ariana Grande. Like you didn't realize you needed a string quartet version of it.
So they do. Oh, they're just doing like all kinds of like pop songs. Oh, bitch. Mm-hmm. That's it. You got me. I'm here for the soundtrack. I'm here for the soundtrack.
Do they cover any Jennifer Hudson music or Beyonce?
Yo,
no.
Give it to me.
Give it next season.
I love a good cover and like a period, like a different element.
Yes, so did you have it? Yes, because it's based like the actual book series is really like 8 books because there are 8 children of the family. So if they do like the full on thing, then we should get some more of that. So hopefully.
That being said, if we don't get enough of the Duke next season, I might be out.
So this is based off of a book?
It's based off of a book series.
Yeah.
Oh, so 50 Shades of Grey.
It's a family
is that what this is?
It's each kid's story. Each kid getting married, finding their true love.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So like it's real just good. Like it's a real good distraction series. Like you don't if you can suspend yourself from like the you don't have to suspend yourself from the diversity because like embrace that, but like get over that. Like get over it. Enjoy the content and just like for what it is. It's just that's what it is.
Yeah. Just go for the entertainment value of it. Okay, go ahead. Jay, what are you talking out about?
All right.
Wait, you are done, yeah. I can move on. I don't want to just like move on.
Oh, you're right. She did not say that.
No. Like legit. Like the past few days, I've been watching Batman. So go
on.
on.
Just like I've been all about Batman. Yo, honestly, Poison Ivy in that Batman is like huge contributor to everything that is the gay inside of me. It's really terrible. Terrible.
The one movie that probably I'm gonna say solidified the homosexuality of the millennials. The one movie. I'm gonna tell you what it was. The one movie. Batman and Robin.
All the
Batman and Robin.
Okay.
Like, bitch, you were.
You had that
all the games and all of us. Yeah.
Then you had Poison Ivy, so you had both sides of that.
And I'm sorry,
had Chris O'Donnell back when he was just like.
My favorite part was.
And then you had George Clooney,
the gorilla suit.
Look, Arnold Schwarzenegger was there, and y'all might not peep this. Y'all might not remember this. Vivica Fox. Vivica was in there, and she was wearing this like little thing, just ass hanging out. I was like, I'll be honest, that's one of those movies where my bisexuality was just all over that movie. I was just like, oh, where do I look? Yeah. That movie for me was a coming of age.
People clown like those George Clooney movies, but like
those he only made one.
No one, yeah.
He only made one. Didn't he?
It was Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney.
Yeah.
He only did one?
So did Val Kilmer.
Oh. Yeah. Well, anyways. But
it's okay, you're young.
I'm you're younger than you. Shut up.
You're young, but you're younger than me.
Shut up. Anyways, folks clown that chunk of Batman movies, particularly like that last one. I feel like he did 2. I feel like George Clooney did 2.
Bet me some money. Don't nobody say nothing. Bet me some money, Rakia.
Okay.
Anyway, say it on national internet.
I bet you $5.
I bet you $5.
I'll cash app.
And I need that cash app.
COVID-free cash app, please.
Okay, but anyways, like folks clown that chunk of Batman movies, but like I grew up with those. I enjoyed those immensely. I don't care what you say. I love those movies. But yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you this.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I agree, Rakia. I love the first 2 because they're very Tim Burton. They're very Tim Burton.
Of course.
And then the third one, to me, what made the third one excellent was Jim motherfucking Carrey. Oh my God.
Yes.
The Red Lock.
If there is a comedian who is also an acting ass motherfucker, it is Jim Carrey. There's a few of them, to be honest, but Jim Carrey, goodness gracious.
I love that, man.
But yeah, Rakia, have you found out whether you owe me $5 or not? Anybody in the audience at home?
Sorry, guys, it is.
Yeah, it was only one. Okay, I'll take Visa. I can take a traveler's check. I can take I can even do a layaway.
I said Cash App. Send me your Cash App.
Okay, I'm gonna send it to you. All right, so is it my turn?
Yes, here you go.
I have a few things I'm geeking out about. So first, this is just like, I don't want to discuss it in length, but I just know y'all so well that y'all want to hear this, even though I don't care about this. This is my gift to my panelists, my team. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Firefly is getting a reboot.
Ew.
Oh, but
Firefly is getting a reboot. I have only seen Serenity, so I don't really have an attachment to it. I saw Serenity. It was good.
Wait, Firefly is.
Have you ever seen Firefly?
I've seen
I saw Serenity. I've never saw the
movie,
show.
right?
Yeah, the Serenity is the movie. Firefly is the show. I saw probably like the first 15 minutes of the first episode, and I was like, Buffy ain't here. Bye.
I saw it.
And it's a 2-hour. It's like a 2-hour pilot. I'm so sorry. Don't do that to me, please.
Buffy wasn't there, so I left.
Sorry, so
2 hours of no Buffy.
Hold on. So speaking of Buffy, just because I want Megan to come back to visit us one day, she's also a fellow Buffy fanatic.
We do have to have a part 2.
Here's the thing.
We've been here.
Find me a geek that's not a Buffy fan, please.
My co-host is not. He refuses to watch any of it. He does read the actual new comic now, though. So I
pause. Let me tell you though.
I haven't
now,
seen
that's
it.
the only way someone cannot be a Buffy fan, if they've chosen not to watch it. But you cannot watch that series and not be a fan.
It is a really hard thing to digest in 2020 at some point. So I completely commend him for it. And the updated 2019 series takes care of a lot of that, like Xander's whole nice guy thing. Like, I'm a nice guy, I should get Buffy, is something that is really hard to watch in 2020. And so the comic really takes care of that.
Help me understand how I don't understand those words.
What?
I said a lot of stuff.
When was the last time you watched Buffy?
No, I guess for me, like, I absolutely hate Xander. Nice guy is never how I would have cared.
No, I'm not saying he's a nice guy. I'm saying that his whole thing is, I'm a nice guy, I should get Buffy. Why do I not get Buffy?
But
I'm
see,
a nice
to me,
guy.
right, Megan, to me as an audience member, him wanting Buffy so bad because he thought he was a nice guy, even though he actually was a...
That's the thing. That's the whole thing.
Was incredibly satisfying for me. I love the fact that he could never get Buffy. I'm like,
okay, but I'm telling you, the 2019 comic does it even more satisfying. I'm telling you.
Okay, because I'm like Nene Leakes. You can't win when you play dirty. You can't win when you play dirty. And he never got Buffy because he was the child can't hear me, can he?
She's wearing headphones.
Okay. Kids got good ears.
My volume is turned up all the way.
They see mouth the words, and all of a sudden it's like, what?
Okay, so that's Firefly. Speaking of Batman, I just saw an article. I didn't have time to research it, but apparently they're bringing back Michael Keaton to play Batman. What? And he's going to be the official Batman of the DC EU, whatever that is. So I guess people are saying that if he's Batman, then you're going to show Batman as being old. So that means we're going to start seeing Nightwing and Batman Beyond. Stuff like that.
Batman Beyond. I was actually thinking of it.
But I'm down for if that's where you're going with it. But I don't want to see Michael Keaton's ass trying to fight nobody. I don't want to see that. Come on.
Yeah, they'll bring him back in like the CGI version where he looked like this bitch when he had all the armor on when he was fighting.
I hope if they do, they just do he's older and now there's this other kind of Gotham thing. Yeah. All right. Now these next two things are actually what I'm geeking out about. I finally watched season 8 of Game of Thrones. And when I tell you I was so thoroughly satisfied.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. That's why I wait. That's exactly why I wait. Because if I would have watched it with everybody, with all of this energy, I wouldn't have liked it. But I said, I'm gonna wait till it's time for me to watch it. I said, let me tell you, episode 3, season 8 is the best hour of television I have ever seen in my life.
To be honest, most of the season was really good.
Best hour of television I've seen in my life. I don't care. Like, I was talking to Danny, he said, it was fan service. Spoiler alert, big spoiler alert, 'cause I'm about to talk about what I saw. They said it was fan service.
And nobody cares anymore.
Right. They said it was fan service that Arya got to kill the Night King. I said, absolutely not. She's the only person who could have did it and it would have made sense. The only one who could have got that
Arya. No, honestly, I love that Arya did it. That one I never really liked.
Right. To me, okay, what else was dope about it? What else? Now, there's a few things here and there. I like the characters that it redeemed. It really redeemed I think her name is Melisandre. What
Melisandre,
the older lady who was hiding as a young woman.
Yeah,
I fell in love with her.
Oh my god!
The rest of the series, I was like, every time she came around, I said,
cried my ass off. Are you kidding? That was so good. Yeah, her exit was awesome.
And she told him, she was like, I won't make it to the morning. And then she just...
See, that's what I'm saying. The most of it leading up wasn't terrible. It was a little bit rushed because they were trying to just...
That is a different statement, though.
Because well, no, that's the thing. But the very ending, there were parts. Arya, I'll give you. I love that. Totally.
I love that.
This. Overall, the 8th season, to me, it wasn't bad. There are people like, they ruined it. No, they rushed it. That's a different statement. They rushed it, which sucks. Absolutely. But it didn't. It could have been better. It could have lasted longer. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it was horrendous like everybody else is saying. No. Now, what I didn't like, now the one thing that had to get compromised in them rushing it, I didn't like the fact that all it took was, what's the imp's name?
Tyrion.
Tyrion. All it took was Tyrion to be like, yo, you should kill her. And he did it. I was like, that was too much for me. Like, that was the one point I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I think that's my point. That's what they miss in the rush, because like in the Game of Thrones, there's usually a lot more groundwork that usually rolls up to that, where he makes these suggestions here and there. He's already like talked about her negatively before. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we usually miss in this.
To me, it was too much at once.
But that's my point. It was rushed.
I agree, because for me, like, Tyrion's motivations became very like.
Yeah, and he was like, and what really caught me in the beginning of the show was the way that Tyrion kind of played the Game of Thrones, and they portrayed.
But that's it to me. Okay, so let me just explain this. So to me, when I'm watching Tyrion, so you betrayed your best friend, right? And so then, he died, the man of whispers, right? Okay. Yeah. So then while you're talking to Jon Snow, you literally tell him, I was wrong about him and I betrayed my best friend, even though I'm wrong, and I want you to kill her. If me, my black ass, hell no, nigga, you just betrayed your best friend. You think I'm gonna listen to you?
Right? Like, you have bad judgment, sir.
You got hella bad judgment, so you betrayed your best friend. Now you trying to betray the girl that been sucking my dick for the last year and a half. So nah, bro. Nah, I would have been done. So but other than that, Tyrion absolutely did turn into an idiot at the end. It was very frustrating.
Yeah.
Another thing, this is my last thing. Yeah. I was mad. This is the one thing I felt robbed about. This is the one thing I felt insulted by. We didn't get to see Cersei die.
Right?
We didn't get to see this. I was like,
you didn't.
No, we didn't get. We didn't get the killing.
And her son Joffrey. Those are the two most deserving of a whoop ass. They deserve to get literally dragged. They deserve to get murdered.
Yeah, honestly,
we saw them die. We didn't get to see her get murdered.
No.
I don't know.
We saw some rocks fall over the camera.
Yeah, but we didn't get to see. I wanted Arya. Like, I know she would have got like two big things: the Night King. And then if she got the chance to do Cersei, which was actually on her list of folks to get, that would have made sense to me. Like, I would have been okay. I wouldn't be like, that's totally okay that she got like two big characters that needed to die.
Side note, there is a suggestion, because Danny wants to come on the show, that we make this a topic.
Okay.
So I'm just throwing it out there. But one more thing before I go.
Yeah.
I feel like if we had to watch Melisandre get beheaded, and we had to watch Daenerys get stabbed in the heart. What, Cersei got off by just some crumbling rocks? I'm like,
right, that doesn't make sense. No, she didn't get stabbed.
That shit happened. I was like, girl, bye.
Okay.
Okay, we gotta get out.
Plan that one out. I'm out of that. He's like, I've been waiting for this one.
I was waiting for that one. Here we go. Okay, one last thing, and then we can move to our main topic. I'm sorry.
I didn't like the way that Danny died either, though. I'm there with you as well. There's only a few parts, Go ahead. Okay,
my last thing. So there's this debate going on the internet, and it's kind of going on in the movies too, about who's the strongest Avenger. So I kind of want to put this to bed, and I've just seen it a lot. I've seen this question a lot. So, boom, there you go. So people are saying, "Oh, it's Thor, the Hulk," and I'm like, well, when you really think about it, The only one to go toe to toe with Thanos when he had all the rings twice and actually be able to fuck with him was her. So I feel like I would like to hear your opinions on who's the strongest Avenger and why. And then I'm done with what I'm geeking out.
Okay, I'll start. I just said it, I guess. Scarlet Witch is totally up there for me. Just because her powers are just so like limitless and boundless, you know.
They're limitless powers.
They kind of are.
Especially the way that they created them in this, because they couldn't make her a mutant, so they had to make her powers connected to one of the Infinity Stones. So then
so it's like it's a little bit different.
She has
in the original universe, she's much more powerful than that.
She has chaos power, like literally chaos magic. Like she can create anything. It's basically limitless.
I just saw a preview for WandaVision. Actually,
it looks so
good. Good.
I'm so confused by everything I'm watching in the best
everything.
way.
Everything.
I'm pretty sure these are X-Men and Avengers. What the fuck am I
watching? I've never seen a preview for something, and my response was, "What the fuck?" But I'm thinking, "What the fuck?"
And the Pleasantville, like
yes.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Throwback is oh god, I love it. I'm so here for it. So
it has to be her that brings the X-Men into this situation. It has to.
Of course. But then here we are. Here's Wanda creating a whole other world, like a whole
world.
Illusory world, that they're living through, and that's a power.
She's Magneto's daughter, right?
She is She's one of his daughters. Apparently, Magneto is like baby daddy of the century.
He's worse than Future.
I know he's got 3 children that I know of that I can name. But apparently he has even more than them. The 3 that I can name are Scarlet Witch, Pietro, which is Quicksilver, and Polaris. Polaris has his powers. Quicksilver's like really fast. I would hate to be part of that family and be Quicksilver.
He had at least one child with Rogue in the comics, because I remember reading about that.
How?
I don't know. I have no idea. I can't remember, but I know.
So, look, I'm still stuck on the fact that that Magneto is like Future, like the rapper Future, with all the baby mamas and all the babies.
Are you serious?
The rapper Future? Yes.
That's what they're making Magneto?
No. He got babies on babies on babies. Like,
yes.
Babies on babies.
Babies
on babies on babies.
He does.
So that's bigger, actually. Well, he doesn't have babies. He's got more like broken hearts. That man's got girlfriends across the fucking globe.
And you know what's crazy?
And a few kids.
They say that the most powerful kids came from Scott and Jean. Which I never understood, because I like Scott. Scott's nice. He's cute. He fits in a nice little box. But he's Scott. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like the most powerful.
But to be honest, his power is supposed to be actually, it's a physical power, and it's like kind of limited in what it does, but it's super intense. It's actually supposed to be really, really powerful. You know what I mean? In its own way. Anything he looks at, he will literally obliterate, kind of a thing. Supposed to. But
I want to bring up this picture. There's a picture, because I was arguing with Danny about this. This is what we do. We just argue about this kind of stuff. And he sent me a picture of Cyclops or something. Or maybe it wasn't Danny. It was somebody. There's a picture of Storm from the comic books standing in front of one of Cyclops' blasts, not flinching. And there's a lightning bolt stopping his blast. This woman gets slept on so bad.
She's much more.
Annoys me.
She was second in command, though.
She should have been first.
She should have been first.
She should have been first. All right, I'm done. That's all I got.
I want first, though. Maybe she was always second. Like I'll take charge when I have to.
Right? Maybe she does.
I don't have to make all the hard decisions. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, that's all I got. That's all I'm geeking out about.
Listen. If she knows what it's like to be in management, and she was like, "Nah, son, I'm gonna take. I'll take second in command. Thank you, assistant manager all day."
Right.
She knows.
VP, I'm good.
Hey, VP, I'm good. So That was good. Okay, so I like those. Those are nice. X-Men really heavy these days. WandaVision was pretty cool. I saw that one the other day. So also geeking out about that. Took that one right out of my mouth because I really like the Pleasantville reference in that one. But also Mark Hamill. He's the CGI version of him that we've been seeing in a lot.
Spoiler alert! I was gonna say that.
Well, I mean, everyone's seen the picture. A picture.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like that's how it got spoiled for me. What you're doing right now? Yeah.
You haven't.
I haven't started watching The Mandalorian. So let's just preface these things. Julian, this is the thing. Julian's used to a good kiki. Okay. And these good kikis, but this is the internet national kiki. And everybody's not up on the same things that you're up on.
It's true. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. I'm just teasing you.
Okay, but anyway, he looks amazing. That's all I'm gonna say. That just looks really good. And I mean, okay, Mark Hamill.
Look good at all this CGI work.
We love Mark Hamill, man. I don't know. I love Mark Hamill. I love him on the internet. Anyway, he's like on Twitter all the time. He's like a dad on Twitter. He's like, I don't know.
You know who I love on Twitter?
He's what?
Knowing who you love on Twitter, you about to say Dionne Warwick.
I am. I definitely am, and I have no problem with it.
I have no problem with it. I haven't really read her tweets. I did read her tweets about trying to learn pronouns, and I really thought that was special because, like, I'll be honest, my grandmama is on my Facebook. We've never had deep conversations. She knows that I'm gay or whatever, or she knows I'm in the spectrum, but we've never talked about it. I don't really talk about it with anybody in my family. But I could not imagine the hilarity that would ensue if I had like an honest conversation with my grandma about it. Not that she's like offensive. She's just, people back then when they talk about stuff, it's really just they weren't taught like to be as kind with their words, right? So they're just blunt in a sweet Southern way, if that makes any sense. So Dionne Warwick
at a certain age, yes, that's where they're at. Yes.
And I'm surprised that Dionne Warwick is that way, clearly, but still able to be cognizant of pronouns and what that means to actually adhere to them. So I love it.
She's very open to learn. Like it's very clear that she's very open to learn, like the ins and outs of Twitter, what the kids are talking about today, and how they talk. It's like it's very like it's so sweet and so endearing. Like. She's willing, but don't cross onto Dionne. You don't cross her, and because number one, she'll put you in your place. Number two, she doesn't have to because everyone's gonna do it for her. So yes, because like you're not gonna go against her because she's literally like it's very sweet and endearing. So if she makes a mistake, she'll own up to it. Number one, but like you're not gonna come at her sideways. That's what I love about it.
Bet. I love it.
Auntie. She's a good auntie on the internet. That's good.
Yes, she is very.
We need a few of those. Mark Hamill's just like that. Okay, guys, we're gonna do a really quick break, and then we will be right back, I guess.
Leading into this break, the break you're about to see is a little bit of something that a friend of mine put together about parents and what you'll need to teach virtually.
Ooh.
You're gonna need a babysitter for your own children because you're going to need lots of energy to pass out virtually to everyone who's looking down in the dumps. You're going to need to know how to work the Zooms and things because, see, I don't know nothing about the Zooms and the computers and all them things and the FaceTimes and the Google Classrooms and things. And I be struggling. So you're going to need to know how to do that, baby. You're going to need to know exactly what you're doing when it comes to that.
Hi, this is Cody from Cody Paul Media. Thank you for joining me. Anybody can record a video, but the question is, how do you make that video stand out among the rest? A quick animated video like this one can change things around for your company, so go to codypaulmedia.com and get those needs met today. See you later.
That was the Mompreneur Plug, which is a YouTube channel where you learn about how to be a what can I say? Like she's an entrepreneur, but she's also teaching a mompreneur. But it's more than just being a mother and being an entrepreneur. There's also this really interesting part of it that's about self-care. Yeah. So it doesn't matter whether you're a mom or an entrepreneur. Like she does, one of her series is about dealing with anxiety and all the stresses that come along with it. So it's actually a really great channel for anybody, whether you're a man, a woman, a parent, or a child, or just someone who wants to learn about themselves.
Managing life, you know.
Also, that was Cody Paul Media. He does graphics and editing, creating animation, all of that stuff. He's really professional. He's not like us. He's not chaotic and unprofessional like we are.
Not chaotic.
So
sorry, y'all.
You can reach him at codypaulmedia.com. All right.
Okay, so welcome back to Geeking Out, guys. So actually, there was one more thing that I just wanted to say really fast, just because I forgot. It was really, really wholesome. They are putting Nintendo consoles in hospitals, like around the U.S. Because they had a few that they sent out to DCs, and they made them like the casing is all different. So like it goes in like a Yoshi pattern, a Princess Peach, Mario, and what was the last? Something else. It was the fourth one.
Nintendo is doing it.
Bowser. Nintendo's doing it. Nintendo's doing it with like some other company and so what they've done is they've designed a whole different console where it's kind of more boxy and stuff, but it's supposed to be easier to clean and disinfect and stuff. So they'll be able to bring it to hospitals so that kids have something to play with. And things. Yeah, they have a few out in DC, but they're planning to make it more nationwide. It's a nice expansion, but that was the wholesome part. I was like, oh, that's cute. I was like, that's cool. Yeah, I wish I had that when I was, not that I was in the hospital at all, really, when I was a kid. But what a great experience.
Not about you, Julian. Good for you.
You know what I mean? And that's it's nice. And it make it more comforting and definitely helps to like de-stress the whole situation for any kid.
Right.
That was a nice little thing. Okay, so anyway, moving on to the next thing. We're gonna get to the brunt part of our Geeking Out here. We're talking about the geeky books that made us. We're finally here. I know we do Geeking Out for. Well, there's a lot of stuff that's happening these days, So okay, anyway.
I'm just laughing at you. I love teasing y'all. Look,
stuttering Stanley.
It's so funny because whatever. Anyway, on to it. So we're going to do a little bit of geeking out. About the books that we love. We all know which ones definitely.
Can I ask you a question before we move into this, Julian?
But it's not going to be all about it. Sorry. Yes. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is somebody special watching tonight?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand why all this extra nerve.
Where are these nerves coming from?
Julian done this show like 8 times. I was like, oh, you must got a man watching you.
He's got someone in the corner of the room.
That's what it is. You got a special guest. Okay. Hey, I didn't realize we had company, y'all. Act right. Come on.
We're about an hour into this. We're too late.
I know, right? The timing is a little late, but okay. So I want to start with our guest. I want to know what books. Okay, so give me like one or two of your top books or series that really like made you like the geek that you are today, like the and whatever.
Sure.
Follows the part, Well, first I'd like to know, what is your genre? What is your
God.
Like do you have one? Even
like what I read now?
Like what is your favorite genre? Like where do you usually stay when you go and get a book?
Yeah. I still stick a lot with YA, just to make it easier. But my senior thesis was on Gothic literature, so it's either kind of one extreme or the other.
Right.
Okay.
I read a little bit of everything in between, but if like you're going to put me in a bookstore, I'm either going to come out with something Gothic or horror related, or it's going to be a YA book. Okay. That may also be Gothic or horror, but
I like
it. They do a lot of that, but they do a lot. They do a little bit more of an eclectic range. Kind of
yeah.
So okay, well that's cool. I love it because we're gonna do a lot of YA at this point because those are the books that made us. Okay. All right. Awesome. So now that we know that, give me like a few that from your childhood at least like really kind of spoke to you.
Sure. So when I got asked to do this, my first thought was, what did I read as a kid? And I took a very long time to figure it out because there's a lot of things that I talk about on a regular basis. And I was like, I have no idea. And then I was looking at the book that I needed to read next, which was Animorphs 52, and was like, oh, I guess like if you want the book series that made me who I am, I've been talking about it for about 60 episodes now. Animorphs is my thing. I actually just got a grizzly bear paw tattoo in celebration of the series or whatever. Yeah. And it's kind of having its own little renaissance right now. They are talking about making a movie, and there's a comic series, and they are starting to do all the books in audiobook. So I'm really, really excited and kind of hoping it gets its ground again this time. But a lot of people remember these books as having the weird covers where the kid transitions to an animal, and that's about it. And they're like, oh, these light, fluffy books. This series is like the darkest thing that I still think I've ever read in my entire life. And to the point, like we were joking recently that we had a friend come on to talk about what I thought was the lightest book is where like there's oatmeal that's killing the aliens. Right. No, it's oatmeal that turns them into cannibals. So it's like, and they're all like, Megan, this is dark. This is so dark. And there's not a light book in this series. I'm sorry. But it shaped who I am and like where I kind of follow on my beliefs and things like that. And especially with things like war and politics and everything. And the authors of the series are still like big on Twitter, and just, it's a delight. It is a wonderful fandom to be in.
Yeah. Yes.
I liked you so much up until you said Animorphs.
I'm sorry.
Only because I dare when we put this online, somebody's like Animorphs. I'm like, ugh, get out.
That was Melissa, and she was so happy.
That's what it was. Melissa, she's like Animorphs. I was like, get out.
And we're gonna open with it. No, I'm sorry, but this is the.
And then you had the nerve to let that be. And then you had the nerve to let that be the first book we talk about on this.
This is the grand opening, and you'll know how much.
I would have been fine if it came up later. Right, if it came up later, I would have been fine. But you let that be the first book we talked about?
It is the grand opening. No, girl, I'm here for it. Yes. Okay, so Animorphs is fucking amazing. So anyone who doesn't really, I guess, know about Animorphs, it's about like aliens that kind of crash land.
Go to your local Goodwill and find you a book.
Oh, first of all, yeah, find yourself a book and get yourself educated. Sorry.
This thing is so hard. I love you, Melissa. I can't do it. It's hard. It's hard to do.
But you know, it's an alien race that comes to Earth or whatever. They're here to colonize, but they're kind of like these little world things that are like body snatchers in a way. We'll leave it at that. And of course it's a YA book, so so of course you have your young adults who are the saviors of the planet and stuff. But they come through, man. This whole series is amazing. They're able to turn it into.
I will say I have no idea. Wait, I don't know if my co-hosts are watching it. So, like, even though the series ended like 20 years ago, one of my co-hosts is reading it for the first time. Just
I'm trying to I'm leaving it there.
I just want to throw something out there really quick. Now, even though I said that about Animorphs was one of the first books that I got into, but it wasn't the regular series. It was the chronicles of the character who taught them, who gave them their powers. There's this character. He's built like a minotaur. Minotaur is like a half horse, half man, right? Yeah. But he's like purple fur all over, and he's got his antennas. And I read his story and how he ended up coming to Earth and then giving them their powers. Now that is a book.
Yeah,
that is a book. No. If you want to talk about worlds being created, that is worlds being created.
Yeah.
The creators, they had an alien, and Scholastic basically went, no, you can go further than that. And so all the aliens they created were essentially the definition of the series is how far can we push before Scholastic says no. I mean, literally one of the kids tried to commit suicide in book 3. Yeah. It is, the entire series is just based around what the fuck can we get away with? And
okay.
Well, I think
So-
it's also a lot of like they actually like address some of the things that like young adults kind of go through and stuff, and especially like in these situations, like I know why you got the bear paw. Let's just put it at that. And like that.
Rachel is my favorite. Yes.
And like yeah, and so like her storyline and like how it follows through, and then the same, and then hers with Tobias, like they're a lot more in depth, and they're you're right, everything is a little bit more dark, and
it's good to like there's a bad guy, and we start the series, and kind of one of the things that we talked about was like there's a bad guy, there's the good guy, and then you get through it and you're like, wait a second, the good guys are also assholes.
Mm-hmm.
And the bad guys also have resistance movements, people that want peace and things like that. And it was just a way to kind of teach kids that things aren't black and white without preaching at them in any way. And I was going to go somewhere else with that, and I'm totally now blanking. Tobias, you mentioned Tobias. Tobias is the kid that gets trapped in the body of a hawk in the first book. And it was not...
I read that one. Yeah,
it's not meant to be a trans metaphor, but a lot of kids read this, and that's what they took from it. So it has been a life-changing series for a lot of people for this reason. And the authors really are like, we weren't thinking of that, but thank you. We're on board for that.
We'll take it.
They do have a trans daughter now, so
they could have rebuked it. So honestly,
what did you say about a trans daughter?
Their daughter, their oldest child, is came out as a transgender woman a few years ago. So like, unlike some of these authors that we love as kids, that the older you get, the more they have without like throwing words out there.
Like if there's a definition of shut up and make your money, it's J.K. Rowling. Like, bro.
Yes, but instead they are very much about like, here's what we did. If you took this from it, great. That's not what we necessarily intended. Here's how we support that now.
Yeah.
So it is the very, very cool fandom. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, totally here for it, but absolutely one of my favorites, I have to say. Okay, I'm gonna actually move on to just because. Okay, anyway, we're gonna move on to the next one. Really fast. We'll come back to it.
Whatever you want, Julian.
We're gonna
whatever you want. We got number, space, and opportunity, bro.
All right. All right, so we're gonna go into Ricky. Actually, I'd like to know one of the geeky books book series that kind of made you when you were younger.
Okay, so my love for witches is the series by Kate Tiernan called Sweet. The entire series is called Sweet, and it's about a girl in high school that finds out that she's adopted, and she's actually from a line of very powerful witches. Like it's based in New England, of course, and it's like something that I found randomly, like maybe late elementary school, early middle school, and like when I found there was a new book, I immediately tried to buy it. Like, Papa, can you give me some money for this book right here, because it's here and I want it.
Did you start at the beginning? Did you start this book at the beginning?
Okay. Yes, I did. Yes, like I have no clue like where I ended things, because it lasted for a while, but like it was just very much like that supernatural coming of age type series that I just loved. And like I even like read some fanfic from it like years later, but like it still holds a special place in my heart. And then like the author that kind of brought me back into that geeky like sci-fi area would be Octavia Butler. Like this was something that I was like, so if you know who Octavia Butler is, like go ahead and Google her, but like she's one of those, she's like the queen of black sci-fi. And it was like, I think I was on maternity leave, or like I just had one of my kids, and like I decided like I needed some like.
Oh, so you came back to it recently?
Yeah, so it's fairly recently, but like it was like I needed some like fairly black, almost practically feminist type reading at the time. And so the first thing I read of hers was Kindred, where a character, black woman, goes back into time to like her ancestry, like obviously slavery, and like randomly goes back into her present time and like back into the past, and like it's crazy. But like that one kind of brought me back into geek mode, because it was just she's so good. So like those are my two moments of geeky book reading.
Okay. Well, usually, okay. So when you do find a book, where do you usually find it? Okay, because I only say I'm gonna preface it with this, because usually most of the books that I've like turned on to, they've been like kind of emergency books, which is weird. So I've been like going on vacation or something like that. So like, you know, you get what's at the stand that's there and stuff. So they're usually the bestsellers and stuff. But like I look for what's in my genre and things. And so a lot of those I've picked out in that way. Other times I've gone book hunting, obviously, but a lot of times a number of the big fandoms that I've found myself to be a part of, I found just at random, because I was like, oh, I need a book to read. This will do. You know, it was one of those things. So.
I honestly don't remember how I got into like the Sweet series by Kate Tiernan, the Witch series. Like I just remember like probably like at a bookstore, picked it up, saw it, and wanted to read it, and then like I got hooked, and I wanted to read the next one, and the next one, the next one. And that's...
How many of you guys judge a book by its cover? Now that you're talking judging a book by its cover, but
do you consider
by Meg?
Do you consider the when you say by the cover, you talking about the front or the back?
I'm gonna go with actually both. Well, no. Well, I guess, do you read the back? Does anyone?
I read the back. I read the back.
Not everyone.
No,
I do.
You know what? Back in the day, what they put in the label now used to be on the back. Now on the back is only reviews. You know what I mean? They used to put an actual like a little blurb about it.
Right. Now, and if it's not in the back, it's always in the front.
Yeah,
like the second or third page.
Right. And let me tell you this though: if y'all won't put a synopsis on your book, I will not read.
That's for me too. I want to know a little bit about what's in here.
Right.
Time for
the goal is to get me to buy your book. You want me to buy your book. So, okay, it's a cute cover, but I'm gonna see a lot of cute stuff that look nice. And then when I got it to the house, it wasn't what I thought it was. Okay. That's my whole sex life. Okay.
Okay.
There was a joke there. I couldn't just leave it there. I couldn't leave it there. What I'm saying is, like, when I pick up a book, I'm like, okay, then I flip it and I read. Now, you're not just reading for the synopsis. You also get a style of what kind of book you should be. Well, you should get a style, a sense of what style this book is going to be by the way that they write their synopsis on the back. A well-crafted synopsis can make or break an author and a book to me.
Okay, so you're looking for more for the content and stuff, which is good. This is
at least if you can't put energy into your synopsis, girl, then what
obviously. I mean, I do appreciate the art though a little bit. Is that weird to say? Because I feel like the art, it comes from some kind of inspiration of what's.
You mean the book cover?
The book cover. So I do.
Absolutely.
Actually judge the art of the book cover every once in a while. You know.
Can I ask you a question? Have you ever been like you pick up a cover, you're like, okay, and then you read the book, and then you go back and look at the cover and just stare at it and imagine the world?
Yeah.
That's why a good cover is important. The good cover is everything, because like I reference that cover all the time. I'll talk about my books later, but I reference the cover all the time. I love a good cover.
No, absolutely. Okay. So yeah. All right. So yeah, jury judges by that. I would do a mix. Meg, what would you judge your book by? Is it more the cover, the synopsis, the author, and their blurb?
My view of the book world right now is very strange and different than it was 5-10 years ago. I, for the most part, have the authors that if they put out a book, I'm buying it. I don't care what it's about. And then there are authors that I follow that if they go, hey, I just read this book and I really liked it, and I go, cool, I add that to my list. I don't read a ton of backup books because between recommendations and advanced copies of books that I get and things that I do for podcasts, my list is 500 books already. So honestly, if a cover's good enough and I Google and it's got a rating above, 3.5 stars on Goodreads, I almost don't care. I'll pick it up if it's in the section of a bookstore that I like. So,
Meg, you're
I
a
don't know.
professional.
You like to explore.
Right.
She's got it down to a science. I love it.
No, we're not gonna move past that flex she just pulled. Because
Which flex?
when my author friends put it out there, then that's what I go get, and I got 500 already on reserve.
No. Like I am the kind of person. My anxiety, the way it manifests, is
Right.
It is easy to fix by fixing my Goodreads. So my Goodreads is so organized, and that's how I know I have over 500 books. That's 500 books since I started Goodreads in 2009. It is not like I have 500 books downstairs. It is at some point this book has come up and I went, cool, that sounds good, and it made it onto a list.
Right.
So,
I was going to say, how long is everyone? We know how long yours is, but how long is everyone's to be read list, TBR list? Do we have?
Well, are we talking about TBR?
To be read. Like,
talking about to be read. That are you saying to be?
Go ahead.
Are you asking to be read that is of a geek type of book?
Honestly, books in general. At this point, books in general, because a bookworm is still a geek. You know what I mean? If you're reading books, you're still reading.
And also, does that include books?
We are going to move on to our geeky worlds. Don't worry. But
I guess my question is
how long your TBR list is.
We definitely had this argument at the beginning of our series. I think we did between what separates a geek from a nerd, right?
Yeah, we tried to have that argument.
Well, my thing about it is like I think when you're talking about books, you're leaning into the nerd section, which I love a nerd. I'm a nerd about like a few things, but I feel like bookworms to me aren't geeks; they're nerds.
Really?
Yeah, especially if you read a lot and you got glasses, you're a nerd. Ricky is the best example of. She's like a hybrid.
I love you.
I'm not
You're a nerd. You're a blue nerd, a blee nerd, a black geek nerd. I'm saying, Rakia, let me tell you why Rakia to me is all of these things. First of all, she geeks about everything that's geekable possible. She has time to geek for stuff that I don't even understand. How you geek for all this stuff and raise 2 children and teach virtual classes? and she be putting all these social stuff.
I have ADHD. That's why.
This is a Ricky Z plug because I've been seeing her, and that's what I was saying before. Like I've been seeing her like grow on social media and stuff, and I'm like, she's got all this time. She's doing all this. She's got all this time because she's doing work. You know what I mean? But I'm like, she's got time to do all this work.
Here's the issue I have with Ricky
as well. Raise children. Do this podcast with us. Watch all these shows.
Let me tell you the issue I got with Rakia. This is the real issue. The whole thing about Rakia that gets me is I'll message her and she'll have time to watch a motherfucking TV show. I'm sitting over here struggling to put together half the shit she doing. And she tells me, I'm like, what you doing, Rakia? Oh, just watching my Tonight Show, just chilling. And I'm like, wow. That's what, but then, go ahead.
No, finish it up.
But on top of all that, she actually was one of the people in college that did homework. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't one of those people.
The ones of us that wanted to succeed in homework.
I'm just saying, I went to school. I did my classwork very diligently. But when they asked me to do something at the house, I'm not doing none of this shit at the house. What you mean?
Okay. So part of this is my ADHD, where I'm like hyper focusing on something. Like number one, like I need some background noise. So if I'm doing something, if I'm working on like stuff for Woe Nelly Media, Geekin Out, like I got the TV on.
Right.
If I'm listening to something, like I gotta have something going on in the background.
Multitasker.
Yes, but in the worst way, because I can never fully complete things, so it might take me longer to get it done. But when I'm focused on it, I'm working on it for sure. So that's what it is. But I also have like the thing is like I can't just do that with my kids. Like if the kids need something, the kids need something. So I'm gonna have to like at some point switch my hyper focusing off and help the kids. So it's a weird thing.
Can I ask you a question, Rakia?
Huh?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
what type of mom are you when it comes time to like? Are you like one of those? You better sit down somewhere when they get out of hand, or are you one of those? Listen, I need you to sit down. I just want to know. I'm curious.
I have my moments where I am the you better sit down.
Right.
Like if you've listened to the podcast long enough, like you've heard me speak to my kids at some point in time.
Right. When it comes to Black moms specifically, I can only speak to Black moms as the kind of moms I know the best. They have two modes. They have the in the house mode and the out in public mode. The out in public mode is very much just a look. You know what I'm saying? And then in the house mode is ratchet. I just wanted to know.
My mom said,
but I'm also trying to not necessarily like lean away from that, but like I'm trying to do better and like I want to be able to listen to my children and like be able to understand where they're coming from, but at the same time I'm like because right. I like a lot of that stuff, a lot of the things with my children is a lot of sensory overload. It's too much sometimes. So there are moments where I'm like, you better sit on down somewhere.
Yes.
But oftentimes I'm just like, I really just want to be like, okay, what's wrong? Yeah, right. How are you feeling? Hey, let's not do it this way. Let's do it this way.
Right.
Because this is better. Or like, this is, things like that. Like I want to be like that. Like, this is what I strive for. But since we're
I wish we could do an episode just on this about like how to parent. Because listen to me, like as a single person who absolutely wants a family, who at some point, if I got enough money, I might. Don't do it. No. This is my thing on that would confuse me. I have a hard time carrying things from one place to the next without falling. I don't understand how I would be able to protect a child, but I want to.
But like the thing is, you have to be able to take. You can take some of the things you've learned from your own childhood and apply it with your own children, but understand like everything that you experienced as a child was not right.
Yeah,
and it was not okay.
It's probably
and
not
like,
a good idea.
And the thing, and just like you're trying to get by and do what you need to do for your kids and do by for yourself, your parents were doing the same thing, but we are at the point in our lives where we have enough discernment to be like, hey, yes, I understand that they were doing what they got to do. But that's not going to work for me, and that's not for my kids. So,
do you ever have? This is my last question on parenting. Do you ever have that moment where you feel like you're way too young to be a parent? You know what I mean? Like, let me clarify that. I think about some of the immature thoughts that I have all the time, and I'm like, wow, I'm too old to be thinking stuff like that. So,
I'm sorry, mom and dad, but like my parents had me as late teenagers. So, my parents had me as late teenagers. So like 17, 18.
Right.
So sorry, mom and dad, for calling you out like that. So
you apologize. I just tell people. I'm like, yeah, my mother's too young.
But honestly, look at it.
It completely it shaped my view and how I see things and how I handle things. But I also had kids. My first one, my oldest, I had her at 22. It's not necessarily too far apart, but because you're still at different phases in your life, as opposed to like maybe like fresh out of high school, as opposed to being fresh out of college.
Right.
That's still a different mindset, but it's still really young.
Yeah.
As opposed to having it maybe in my later 20s. So sometimes I feel like, yeah, I was a little young. Like if I had done more time of like living and learning more about myself and doing all that stuff, yes, I would say I still had kids too young.
When I tell you that, like, when I think about how old I am right now, when my daddy was my age, he had a wife, an ex-wife, and 4 kids. What do you mean? And a full-time job. You know, I said, what? Like, I couldn't imagine, like, the amount of respect I have for them now versus when I was a kid and didn't get it is total. Like, I have a hard time tying my shoes sometimes and keeping them tied. Literally, I have to retie my shoes like every 5 minutes. And I'm like, how could I have made sure another kid's shoes were tied? I don't even have to tie my own.
Because at that point you're not focusing on yourself.
Right.
And sometimes to your own detriment, you're focusing on that this human being that cannot fend for themselves.
Yeah.
For the majority of the time that they're with you.
Right.
They cannot even into high school, they cannot really fend for themselves for the majority of the time. So you're focused on either making sure things are easier for them, if that's how you want to go about it, or just making things are better for them. It's a mess. It's a scam, y'all. Don't have kids.
They tell me one thing.
As the one person with children, it's a scam. Don't do it.
Let me respond to Danny's comment real quick.
It really is.
I'm sorry, Julian. I was
no, go ahead. No, go.
No, you go. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that I think that they downplay how much work children really are.
Oh yeah.
That it does require a lot more of your attention than they require. Because
they're trying to convince you to have more children. That's what it is.
Yeah, because they're like, if they knew how hard it was, they wouldn't have as many. Exactly.
Look,
one at a time, and it'd be good. But
if the medical industry wasn't so against women, I would totally have my tubes tied right now, because. No more.
Really? Why? Yes. We so off topic. We off topic. Yeah. This is slowly turning into a talking out episode.
We have to. Okay.
Books.
Let's get back to that. Okay, but you did say something, however, that kind of resonated with me in the topic. So then, you were talking about how things that you would learn from your parents and stuff, and when you're growing up, it's just certain things that you cling to. So I remember I found myself a lot of because we talked about how Animorphs got really dark, because Animorphs was one of the big book series that I was really hooked on when I was younger. I started with the fourth one, which was
the dolphin one.
The dolphin one, yes, the Cassie.
The ones I read was the cat and the eagle. Cassie was the cat, right?
No,
that's Rachel.
That was Rachel. She turned into the cat for that one.
Cassie's the black girl, right?
Yes.
And she turned into the cat, right?
No.
Yeah.
What did she turn into? Who's the cat?
The
blonde girl.
The blonde girl turns into the cat.
Blonde girl turns into the cat.
That's Rachel. That's Rachel. Sorry. Cassie.
Rachel. Okay.
Cassie's the.
I read this so long ago. Okay. So long ago. I guess this was my series, and I didn't realize it, because I know y'all are talking about it.
I'm just saying, I found a lot of solid, a lot of comfort in those books, and especially because they were kind of more adult themes, hidden inside of a young adult novel, So it was cool. So I kind of related that back to there when you were saying that. I was like, oh, it reminds me of this, but so anyway. We've got a few book series now that we've talked about. I am not familiar with Ricky's Witchcraft one, although that one I would like to get into. We will probably provide some links at some point, so we will get there. On to Chris, though. I'd like to hear what you what Geeky Books kind of made you when you were younger. Series, books, individual.
Okay, so the first one's going to be super cliche, and I'm sorry I had to be the first one to bring it up, but Goosebumps, I couldn't.
On the list. Yes.
It's super cliche. I feel like everybody did Goosebumps, but I literally had 50 of them. I was obsessed.
R.L. Stine was the one. He was the one.
Goosebumps that I think they started, that a lot of book series afterwards, young adult books did at the time, was they did the whole you dictated the story. You know what I mean? You made a decision and you had to skip over to it.
I love me some Fear Street.
It was different. Yeah. It was awesome.
Fear Street was great. He also had a few other. He had a few other book, not complete series. I know I had at least 2 or 3 other of his books that I don't think were in a series. They were just standalone books. One of them was called Bad Moonlight. Oh, I loved that one because it was a little bit more adult. People were just making out and stuff in it, and I was all about it.
Not making out.
Making out. Oh gosh, I was in the bathtub taking an extra long bath. What?
R.L. Stine was that girl. I love him.
Yeah.
The only other series that I really got into as a kid, because I really
I'm sorry, Melissa. Keep going, Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Because I really loved reading as a kid. and then all of a sudden, like when reading became required, I stopped loving to read at all. And so I just didn't read for pleasure until like I got into college, and maybe it was like my second round of college. I don't know, whatever.
Not the same.
And then my boyfriend at the time got me back into reading, and I really appreciate that because now I've gobbled up some series. But the only other series that I like really identified with as a kid, and this is going to be like gay nerdy, but Sweet Valley High.
Oh, I love it.
Honestly, yes. Absolutely.
I was hesitant to bring that up because I loved me some Sweet Valley. Like
it was a little too gay to like read Sweet Valley High, so I never like read Sweet Valley High, but I read Sweet Valley High. That was like I read a few of them on the low. Like totally.
The middle grade books have this like 4-book horror series that I thought was a fever dream that I've now collected half of. And that was the start into my like reading horror as a kid. It's this haunted house. It's like girl died in this house and they were babysitting it, and like possession and like attempting to like kill these children. And I really thought I had made these up until someone was like, no, these were real. There's an entire like horror series now that I'm just like trying to collect.
I can't
remember why.
Yes, like it was so. I don't know what it is about Sweet Valley, but like I was all about like I read like the Sweet Valley Kids, where like they're like in elementary school and Sweet Valley Middle. Like there's like this one series where it's like Sweet Valley Junior High, which seems completely separate from the majority of the Sweet Valley series, but like I was hooked on Sweet Valley Junior High. Loved the Sweet Valley High. I love Sweet Valley University. Like you couldn't tell me nothing about Elizabeth and Jessica.
Y'all are basically
nothing but the Wakefield twins because they were my girls.
As far as I'm concerned, y'all are speaking Chinese right now.
It's Riverdale. It's just like the obsession with Riverdale.
I haven't understood a word. I haven't understood a word since we were talking about.
It's like the young adult version of Riverdale. Yeah. It's like
Yes, and
or like Gossip Girl or Pretty Little Liars. If like you love any of those shows, you probably would love Sweet Valley.
So just let me say something real quick. So Chris has to leave in like 10 minutes, and because of that, I think some of us might stay. I don't know what's going to happen. There's some shows that's about to happen. But but while he's here, can I throw out some of mine just so he can respond to some of mine?
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. Before we get geeky, now everybody understands. I'm gonna be discreet. Everybody understands where I've been recently, right? Yeah. So when you're in a situation like that, you do
Meg is not.
Huh? Oh, Megan. Oh, I've been to. So when you're in there, you will get your education. You will absolutely find several books. I tell you what, and the conversations that you have in a place like that are not at all like you would think. Either way, the books that I geek about are actually like, when I say self-help books, I'm not talking about like the cheesy ones, but just like those books that are like, I can't. Okay, my best friend EJ told me to read this book called The Art of Not Giving a Fuck or something like that.
Oh, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yes, that is those kind of books to me do it because they're easy to read. The language isn't all like highbrow and difficult. You know what I'm saying? They're very relatable, but they also teach you some stuff that you really, really need to know. So I love a good book like that. But my favorite series growing up not growing up, right now, is a series, I don't know what they would call it, the Iron Druid Chronicles.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, Driz.
Which?
Isn't that the...
I don't know nothing about you talking about. Okay.
Do you have an author so I can look it up?
I should know the author. Look, I didn't do my homework. I just told you I don't like doing homework. I did. But it's basically about, it's such a dope series. I read it like on accident. It's about this guy who's a druid. His magic is different than every other thing. The reason I like the book is because it's not like anything you've ever read. Because usually it's about like witches, wizards, and all of that is there. He talks about other magical beings and stuff, but all of his magic is new. Or
say the title again so I can put this in my Goodreads.
It's called the Iron Druid Chronicles, but the first book is called Hounded.
It's by Kevin Hearn.
Yes. Now, the thing about those books, they're easy to read. They're great characters. The characters I could easily see that as being like a show that once more people read it will be like a book everybody's talking about. I think the characters in there are dynamic. I said that like 8 times. The really big thing is his magic. Like when he has to use magic and how he uses magic is so freaking dope because you kind of get the rules of witchcraft, give or take. You know what I'm saying? We've heard, it's not that we get the rules, we've heard of it. So he ties this into a lot of historical stuff and he has a lot of fun too. It's not one of those series you have to like, I don't think it's YA because he definitely has sex, like some hardcore sex in the second book. So, but it reads like a YA that can have hardcore sex. I don't know. Like
we call that new age nowadays. New adult, sorry, not new age, new adult.
Because if you really think about it, we're all, I guess, around the same age. We're all 30-ish.
Yeah.
And we're writing the adult novels now.
And we all admit that we would read a YA novel easily, right?
You know what I mean?
So
I think I want to go to church, like young adult still includes like folks between like 20 to like 40. So
But usually when people hear YA, they're thinking like 13-year-olds.
Yeah,
but the truth is, you have a large generation of us that love a good YA book because we were brought up on them, especially geeky YA books. Because if you look at my parents, they weren't reading this type of stuff back in school. So they were reading comics. We grew up on YA books, but we're older now, so we can appreciate a good smutting, if I will. So they were really good about. He was really good about doing that. So if you haven't read that book series, go get it. He's still in the process of writing them too. So once you read them, you can be up to date, and then you can just be one of the people like me who's like anxiously awaiting the next one.
You know, I really do miss that. I have to say, I haven't had that in like a long time. I haven't had like a current series in a while.
Right, and it's current. Yeah, so it's dope. How many books do they already have written since you're researching?
Oh, me?
I was talking to Julian, but it doesn't.
No, they have 8. We've got Hound. It started with Hounded. And the last one was Besieged, I believe. Well, it's 8.5. It says so. I believe it's.
He's already written 8.5.
No, it's there's 8. There's 8.
There's already 8 out there.
Yeah, and the half. No, 9. I lied. There's 9.
The Scourged, like this one that's considered 4.5.
I'm gonna spoil something for y'all.
No?
This character, just a little something. It's something you find out in like the first pages. He is a druid, but he's the last one.
Okay.
And even though he's like thousands of years old, he looks like he's 22.
Is he an airbender?
No, but all of his magic is tied to nature.
Oh, geeky reference as we go to Airbender. So I've been playing like Heroes of the Storm a lot lately, and like I'm playing this one character. Her name is Li Ming and stuff, and I'm like, who is this voice? I know this voice. It's Mother effing Azula. Is the voice actor for one of the characters in this game, and I was like, I know this girl. Like, she's usually yelling at somebody throwing fire and stuff. Okay, totally random.
Bro, Azula was crazy ass.
Yeah, because Azula she's a bad bitch. We all know.
Azula, whoever that voice actor is in that animator, they created if I could think of crazy personified, it's her and the girl from the first Craft. That's it.
Hooray!
Yes.
Okay, but that's all I had. I just want to say that before Chris left.
Okay. Well, no, they're great ones. We love those. I like the Druid Chronicles. I feel like I've heard of that one, the Iron Druid Chronicles.
You might have.
The name itself sounds familiar. I haven't actually read it myself, mostly because Yeah, go ahead. No.
I'm surprised Julian hasn't brought up his
I was gonna say I'm not gonna make it all about Wheel of Time.
Oh God! Thank you, Rakia.
I mean,
we almost got through a whole episode.
You
almost got through an entire episode without talking about the time watches.
The Wheel of Time.
Yeah, you're running around.
The time watches. What you get? Time pieces. They're called.
Okay, guys, we're gonna start talking about the Wheel of Time.
Get out.
Pocket watches. What they call it? The pocket watches.
Are there enough hours in a day? Is there enough time in life? I don't know.
No, you get like a minute to talk about a minute.
Okay, so I'm actually gonna give you Wheel of Time real quick.
Can we do a Ricky's rant Wheel of Time?
Yeah, it's gonna be a minute long. It's gonna be okay.
Okay, I mean,
we'll time it for a minute. Okay,
let me pull it up.
1 minute of Wheel of Time.
Okay, Wheel of Time. What do I want to say? 1 minute.
Apparently you're not
Get
supposed
together.
I gotta think about it. I don't know.
Not me. Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm doing? I think.
We're working on it. No.
Let me see. It's always Rakia, so it's much easier when it's her.
Okay, so we're gonna.
Oh, okay.
Close. Okay, so
Are you ready?
Quick, because that's a whole show on itself.
All right, ready and Wheel of Time. Run 2.
Okay, so Wheel of Time is written by Robert Jordan. It's a 14-book series. It's finished by, because he himself died in the middle of it, finished by Brandon Sanderson, who also writes Mistborn and a few other like really popular series these days. But Wheel of Time is like a huge thing. So the world building in Wheel of Time has been is really in depth. It's one of my biggest draws to it. Like a lot of books these days I feel like they're a little bit lacking in description and in comparison, at least to books of the past. Definitely of that one. Oh my god, I have 30 seconds. What did I say? Everything about it is amazing. All the characters. Okay, so it's 14 books. They're all like super thick. There's 2,300 named characters in the entire series, so they give you a lot of like a character development between a range of different people and like different experiences and stuff. So
how many books?
It's really there's 14 books and a prequel and a comic book series and a movie pilot, a TV pilot, and a TV show coming out next. All right, Wheel of Time is amazing.
Hey, I
told you nothing about it, like other than like whatever.
That was a good rant for real.
But also, if you really want to learn more about it, you could watch some earlier episodes of Geekin Out.
Oh my gosh, because they talk about it all the time, or just
Next
watch it. It'll come up again. So
that's why we have Rakia here. You see how she just slid that advertisement in real quick for y'all.
So, me doing my job, like and subscribe our YouTube channel.
I know.
And also, we have a Facebook page.
Oh, we do Geeking Out.
Like our page. Thank you.
We got graphics, y'all.
We are already like we just started like late last week. We're already over 100 followers. Please join us and add some more.
Listen, we might be chaotic and unprofessional, but we got graphics, okay?
Yeah,
that's all that really matters. Like and subscribe and press the notifications button so you hear when we get new episodes. How about that?
Can I give a weird flex?
Yeah, it's flex. All day.
I met Brandon Sanderson.
Shut up! I'm gonna die right now. I'm gonna die right now.
Please don't die. Look, you can't afford to find another host.
Bottle of wine. I'm so mad.
Julian, don't die. We've already lost one. We can't lose two.
I'm sorry because he wrote Towers of Midnight. Okay, the 12th book. He wrote. That was like the first one that he picked up. No, the first one. Yeah, the first one he picked up. Like after the original author died and stuff. It was really good. I had to give him that. I was like, bitch, you fucking did it. You did this shit. Because it took years. I'm sorry, you're talking about anticipation. I remember like when I was 14, like first getting the first book. It was like I had to like get it on the random because I was going down to Virginia actually on vacation. I was like, I need a book to read. So I got I think maybe the 9th one or something like that, Path of Dagger, some bullshit like that. Whatever. I read that book all the way through. I've been like reading them in anticipation ever since, and then like the author became ill, so like the time in between became even longer. So it like took a year to like write these immense books as it was, you know what I mean? And then the time at the ending became even longer, and it was like kind of sad. And then he died, and then we're like, oh, how is this ever gonna finish? Brandon Sanderson came to the rescue, though. I have to say,
I just want to say this really quick, Julian. Chris has to go, so I want to give him a chance to say good night to our viewers.
Thanks. I was just gonna say goodnight.
Chris is one of the like he like sits in the cut, then comes out bow, then
and then gone.
That's him the whole episode, like quiet in the cut, and he comes out with a few hitters.
Yeah, he's our little sniper assassin over there. He comes in, he bangs them out, and then he goes.
I just saved my moments, for the good ones.
Because the rest of us don't. Somebody got to save them.
Someone's got to save us. Chris,
well, thank you guys. I love you. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for coming in. Bye. Okay, so this one is kind of going a little bit long. We are going to wrap it up. I do want to talk about a couple more that are kind of on the geeky spectrum that I.
While you get those, let me tell Megan something. Megan, every single episode we have had to this point, he always has a list afterward of like, can I do some honorable mentions? And he's like, can I say about this and this and this and this? And it's like always 10 or 20 of them. So
I mean, I have like 4 more I can give off if you need. But
oh my god, totally give yours. No, hit me.
Oh gosh, okay. So
we're talking about books.
Wrinkle of Time.
Yes.
Wrinkle in Time.
Yes.
That entire series is amazing. Picked it up because it was a girl with glasses who was named Meg, and it is still one of my absolute favorite books to this day. And then the other one that really shaped me was The Dark is Rising, which almost nobody's ever heard of because it was written in 1973 by a woman named Susan Cooper, and it is part of a, I think, 5-book series that is like a King Arthur retelling, and I've never finished the series, but it was the first book because I remember like I was into Ramona and some Sweet Valley and other things, and I picked up this book, and it was this kid who somehow got pulled into like fighting the darkness and evil in the world and had to collect all these elements and things, and they made a really terrible movie of it about 10 years ago. 14 years ago. How old am I? It was really bad. And he was the 7th son of a 7th son, and I come from a big family. So
what was the movie called?
I think it was called The Dark is Rising, but it might have been called The Seeker, now that I think about it.
I think it was The Seeker, actually. The 7th son of the 7th rising. Yeah, it was a Seeker movie. No way. That has only a little following, though, at least on the online I've seen.
I just remember it coming out and like watching like 10 minutes of it and being like, nah, they're ruining my childhood. And I am not that kind of person. I am very much like adaptations.
Yeah, I heard that the
exist
adaptation
for a reason. That one's bad. So, but that was like my introduction into the fantasy world and more of like urban fantasy hybrid rather than like the high fantasy. I've never been a big high fantasy person.
Okay.
Has anyone here read any of the Star Wars books?
I have.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the Star Wars books?
I love and hate. Depends on the Star Wars.
Love and hate. Okay.
Depends on
I'm in the same. Okay. I'm in the same. No, I'm right there with you because I feel like it's Star Wars, so I'm into it because it's Star Wars. But I think sometimes they take advantage of that, like because they know that because it's Star Wars that people will read it. But
somebody's gonna read it.
Yeah, some of
their newer stuff.
The newer stuff
they're doing.
Yeah, the newer stuff I think is a little bit more interesting, to be honest, than their older stuff. The older stuff is like a lot of the older stuff is you know a lot more of the expanded universe. I would say is a lot more interesting than some of their more sanctioned books of the past. More of the official books of the past. Like I remember reading the X-Wing, the Back to Wars, I think it was. That one, oh my god, it was painstaking. I was like, I cannot get through this fucking book. I have to like force myself to read it because I love fucking Star Wars and I have to like read this book. And I don't think I actually have ever like, you know, finished the series the whole way through. Just because it didn't catch me the way that I had hoped. But a lot of their new ones I think are really good. A lot of them are written kind of dark.
Danny, I'm sorry, keep going. My bad.
No, go ahead.
Danny, you weren't here. I really needed Danny on the panel when they were teaming up on me earlier, Danny, because basically I said they were like historical fiction, works.
Historical fantasy.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Historical fantasy is like They said Game of Thrones is not historical fantasy, even though it's based off of medieval like life. But they said that Bridgerton is historical fantasy because it's based off of actual characters, but totally misrepresenting who they were. And I need your because Danny just did a graphic novel, and in his graphic novel, he uses fantasy. It's a whole different world, but he uses a time period or time periods that existed in our world. So I just need somebody else to say, Danny, if you don't agree with me, just don't say nothing. Okay, don't you?
Bro code.
Don't do it. If you don't agree with me, just talk about it later. But if you agree with me, please say something in the comments. But if you don't say nothing,
Game of Thrones is just high fantasy. I don't think Game of Thrones falls into historical fantasy. I think
that's fine. Because we're letting Danny decide. But Danny, listen, if you don't say nothing, we could always just say that you logged off and didn't see this part. Okay, so. You know what I'm saying?
Look, so shout out to Rem Alternis and yeah. That's all I gotta say about that.
Okay. Go ahead, Julie. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, go ahead. So wait, you said there was like a few more, no? Right.
Oh gosh. I'm sure I have more, but those are like the big ones.
Okay, no, we'll take it. Because I was gonna say actually, like since we're kind of talking a little bit more about high fantasy, Sword of Truth, in case anyone, and then also kind of adult themes, because I remember like reading that as a teenager, and like these were kind of big. They talked a lot about rape. That was like a pretty solid theme in that series, and it was like
that sounds like high fantasy for sure.
Yeah, but it was just there was a lot of moments where I was just like, this is a little bit much. But they did rape, they did genocide, they did a lot of stuff, but it was like a lot more like horrific things that were happening, kind of stuff. But it was a little bit more adult for the time when I started reading these books, at least. But most people who know like high fantasy, at least they know that Sword of Truth is definitely up there as one of those. What else was I gonna say? Oh, another good one was the it doesn't have like the name for the trilogy, but it's like Hell Hath No Fury. It's more sci-fi and fantasy. It's like a really nice conjoining of the two. So it does a whole it's like a whole multiverse kind of setting. So it's like you have different Earths existing all at the same time. Some Earths have more technology, other ones have more magic, kind of a thing. And then like when they cross, they find that they're one and the same in a way. So it's a really nice telling of that whole concept. So definitely up there. And then also one of the other ones that made me that was kind of like on that gay list is Nancy Drew, guys. It's totally not like as big as you think, but I was like, I used to love those books so much because I guess she was the female version of like the Hardy Boys or something like that.
The Hardy Boys, yeah.
She was like a female version of them. So she did all her little plot twists and stuff. But I used to read those books all the time. I fucking love that shit. But
So add on to that, like I mentioned Octavia Butler earlier with Kindred, but like the one that really got me was like she has several like little like groups of books that would be considered part of like a series. So like the two that really got me were the Parable of the Sower and the Parable of the Talents, which is the titles are based off of scripture, but like later it's called like the Earth Seed series. So yes. So like the
Earth Seed, yeah.
Yes. So the young girl has like these special abilities that probably like very like no one else in her community has, and like they're going through some major like government takeover in their community, and she escapes and goes away, and like she basically starts her own community. Yeah. And like she has her own and she basically practically builds like her own religion in a way. So like there is Earthseek religion, and if you've read it, like you can if you've read this particular series,
that's
from
actually
Octavia Butler, like it's very creepy how close it is to the current times right now. But particularly prior to this last election, so it's just like. But it's still very sci-fi. But you have that certain background. Yes, so it's so good if you haven't read those two books, Parable of the Sowers, Parable of the Talents yet. Definitely read those. But that one kind of like reignited my love for some sci-fi type of reading. So,
all right, look, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I heard from Danny. I guess he don't want to put it on the screen. I wish he could put it on the screen. So, because this is important to me. Okay, y'all ready? Can I read it to you? What he said? Okay, sure. He says, "Okay, I mean, technically, I'm sorry, historical fantasy isn't really a thing. I mean, technically, it could be.
I just made it up.
Right? He says technically it could be, but fantasy requires fantasy elements. Most historical fiction tries to keep things realistic. Now, if you call Bridgerton historical fiction, I can mess with it, but it's not. Okay. Because they're actually talking about actual characters. But he said this is let me finish. He says, I mean, so historical fiction is using realistic periods of history to write fictional stories. If you pretend Christopher Columbus was a wizard, then that's historical fantasy, aka Vampire Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, fine. I will give you that.
Historical fantasy. Okay. Yeah. So, but either way, for historical, it has to be drawn from real history. So Game of Thrones is not historical fantasy. So we're both wrong. But what we're right at is Bridgerton don't make no goddamn sense. Okay. That's what it
entertained me for 8 hours. That's all it needed to do.
Thank you. This is
okay.
Serious.
Go.
It's a screenshot. What literally sold me on this is someone posted this and was like, LOL, you think you have problems with ghosting because the main woman is like, you'd rather die than marry me. And the Duke is like, I'm sorry. And I was like, okay, now I need to go back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How bad could it have been? What do you mean?
That's
the hook. That's the hook. You're telling me you'd rather go than marry me? Like,
go. Die.
Yes, I would.
Listen, unless you're talking about Joffrey. But then the thing about it, Joffrey could pull that kind of shit with Sansa. Joffrey, if I married Joffrey, bro, I'd
have killed that boy in his sleep.
In your sleep? No, not in your sleep.
Consequences would have been.
Listen, he would have had one time. Didn't he like spank her with like he had like this kinky stuff he liked to do, right?
Yeah, he shot a crossbow at a girl straddled
he went
strung up across the wall. Like his thing.
Like no, like that's beyond BDSM. That's
whatever you call that. There's a name for that.
But this is one thing. That is one thing Game of Thrones got right. When he died, I don't think there was not a dry eye in the house, and it was all the tears of joy.
Look, if you sympathize with Joffrey, like I'm gonna side you forever and ever.
Okay, so I did want to say because I didn't realize that like the comments, like I didn't think to look through the comments because I normally don't get this format. Anyway, so then he's like, oh, he's all like Terry Goodkind is a hack. Yes, absolutely. But what I will say is that the book series itself was nice for the time. And one of the main things I have to say that I liked and I didn't like because it didn't make sense, because the whole thing is like one of the big things in fantasy, at least it's certainly in high fantasy, is building not just the world but definitely like the magic system. So like the magic system that he built was not terrible, but it was like he tried to make it more mathematical than he knew how. So like there were a lot of potholes and pitfalls here and there, and I was just like, but then these things aren't like as consistent. But I could see where you were trying to go with this, and that's what
I see where you tried.
Because the mathematician in me was like, I appreciate where this was going and like where you were kind of going with this, and it was nice. I like that about it.
That's what that Bart Simpson GIF where it's like cake, so it's like at least you tried, and he takes the cake and throws it away.
Well, I could say I read this. Well, okay, but to get even more nerdy, like I used to make like if anyone knows what StarCraft is, the video game, I used to make like maps. I used to like make custom edited maps based off of like the Sword of Truth back in the day, because that was like the main book series I was reading at the time. So I was used to do like all the kinds of artistic things about it. So whatever, I did my own fan art in my own way, but whatever, it had its time. It had its time. You like the first book? See, the first book was good. The first Zed is my shit. I to this day I still say bags instead of like as a curse word, like because of these book series is like certain things like they're things that you like carry with you. Like I'll be fucking Jeff Peanut Butter. Okay, so but yeah, anyway, yeah, so like like certain things always stay with you. The book series they make you. That was one of them for sure. Okay, so then honorable mentions. I think we are done. So,
hold on, Danny.
Unless,
right.
First of all, Danny. Okay, I'm driving the ship for 2 seconds. Danny, Rakia spelled with a C.
Thank you.
Right now. Okay, so and then after that,
no,
wait. Who's next hosting?
I gotta look at my phone for that. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think it's actually you, Rakia.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, I think it's you next. So Rakia's going to be hosting our next episode. So we will keep you updated on that. Rakia, would you like to say anything?
Thank you, Megan, for joining us. No, because I'm really excited because when we first started this Geeking Out adventure, she was the first one of the first ones to reach out to me, like, hey, like, I'm really excited for you about this thing, and yes, but that was back when we had like legit 5 people at the time.
Oh, okay. But
Right,
still,
like,
I'm still side eyeing you.
No,
Megan,
but like,
I'm gonna talk shit about you when we get off the air.
whatever. No, because Meg, like, when we first, the first or second episode, like when we first started really promoting the show, she was like, hey, love it. If I can get on, let me get on. If you want to get on mine, awesome. But like, this was like the perfect opportunity for Megan to join us outside of the Buffy episode.
Which is that's fair. Like, I probably would have been like, let me give you my 2-hour monologue on Buffy.
I definitely agree that she was
honestly, if you ever do high fantasy, yes.
I would honestly say that Megan,
I have a 3-hour
person.
Right.
Seriously, thank you for letting me come on. And if you guys want to geek out more about books, I have a podcast where we literally read one every 2 weeks.
Tell us more about your podcast.
Yes, please.
Sure.
Tell us more.
So Judging Book Covers podcast started as a podcast where I found myself reading kind of the same things over and over, the same genres over and over, and wanted to expand past that. And my co-host, Stephanie Cortez, came on about a year in, and she's the best person in the entire world. And we started doing reading challenges rather than just like telling people to pick a book or whatever. So for 2021, we are doing Book Riot's Read Harder Challenge, which is a list of 24 essentially challenges and things. For instance, right now, our next episode is going to be a book that intimidated us. So yeah, love to have any of you on. Come talk books with us. And we're actually looking to do a bonus episode on Stacey Abrams. I'm sorry?
We can do that. Like, I'm booking Chris for you. I don't know. But we can come on one at a time.
Yeah, no, seriously. We're part of the Certain POV network, and that is just essentially a bunch of people who absorb media and talk about it. So like, listening to you guys geek out about things is totally in my wheelhouse. Felt completely at home and just had a blast. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great. We like to be as chaotic and unprofessional as possible.
Always.
Love it.
Literally, that is the goal. It's like, how ratchet can we be?
My other podcast, Minds at Yerk, is where we're rereading Animorphs, and I will come into these episodes being like, this is a really serious book, and I cried through it, and my 2 co-hosts, I was about to say my 2 boys, my 2 co-hosts are not like that at all. And so chaotic is kind of where I live.
Okay.
I'll be like, let's talk about war. And they're like, let's talk about otters today. And I'm like, no, we're talking about war.
I'm sorry, I should have warned you. We're a bit chaotic, but like,
no.
I was sitting here wondering. I was like, how come she hasn't like logged off by now? Like, like, we haven't scared her away yet.
No, she's here. She's here. She's.
That's why I want you to come back, because eventually we're gonna have to have a Buffy Part 2 episode, and we're
totally down for that.
Discuss some things.
Listen, we're gonna have part 2s to all of these episodes. There's no way you can really talk about. Listen, that little conversation we had about whether Scarlet Witch was the most powerful Avenger could have been a whole, like, who's the most powerful Avenger could have been.
Literally,
like, we're coming back to everything we talk about. So we definitely have a space here. You can find Meg on her Instagram at Meg Griffin. Meg is spelled with 2 G's, so MEGGGRIFFIN, or www.meggggriffin.com. And I'm sure if you look her up somewhere there, you'll find her podcast.
Oh, yes.
For my podcast, yeah, there's an entire page for everything that I have hosted, whether or not it's still going or not, and anything I've ever appeared on. So this will.
Yeah, we actually found somebody professional to sit on the panel. I don't know how it happened.
I don't know. We've just been doing this for 5 years.
Look, I told you she was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this was great casting. Oddly enough, I'm going to say honest, since we've had to do this kind of like fifth wheel shuffle, we've been lucking out. Like, every time we pick someone they're perfect for and it's never intentional. Maybe this one was a little intentional, but
it was for me.
Right, because but usually I find the guest host. But he was like, "No, I got somebody," and I was like, "Oh no." But I said, "All right."
I hope it passed.
Look, whatever, go somewhere.
Bye.
That you put that to me, but I'm still gonna do this.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna address two other things on this really fast.
Julian, we got that.
I know the One World Trilogy by Gil Dayton is a really good break into high fantasy and like young adult because it's still a little bit smutty and it's still got high fantasy in it. It's really nice. It's a lady. She has a magic harem. It's awesome. But one of the things I wanted to kind of just mention with that Danny had just said, he was talking about the Buffy Adventure role playing game, right? And like I didn't want to
listen.
I wanted to just say that geeky books that made me weren't necessarily always books, because I used to read a lot of like the role playing like storylines, and those themselves were in themselves like their own stories and stuff. They were they made like kind of
like side note to that, like some geeky things like that I did with Buffy as far as like literature was like the quote books, where like they had like entire like they had like a thick book of just they had like some scenes, like picked like visuals of scenes from the show, but like straight up like quotes from the show, and I devoured them, and I would use them, and I would highlight the ones that were my favorite, and like book ear my favorite ones. Yes, so that's my geek literature for sure. This is something
that's not always books, you know what I mean? It has its moments. They have their moments.
It was bound. And in paper form, it's a book, and I don't care.
Well, you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. We have to go. Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that what you're trying to tell me? He's like, wrap it up, bitch. Wrap it up. Okay.
I mean, I didn't say bitch, but I definitely in my head I was saying wrap it up.
I'm sorry. Okay, so thank you for coming, Meg. Thank you for geeking out with us. We were really happy that you came by.
Go Longhorns!
Yes. Oh my god. My brother and sister are there.
Wait. Why do I feel like it doesn't compete to me? So sorry, I know we're supposed to get off the air, but I've known.
I should have saved that. Yeah.
You asked for this in 5 seconds when we do this video.
So, but I've known Megan since high school.
So then can you ask your high school friend this in 2 seconds after I play the video? It's a personal conversation. All right, everybody.
For being chaotic and unprofessional with us
all day. We love you guys every day. We love you guys so much. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you come to see Talk It Out on Thursday. The topic this week is infidelity. Can you be addicted to cheating? And I'm so excited. So please come and see us then Thursday, 8 p.m. Day Gamer on Twitch. Everywhere else, WOE Nelly Media. Nelly is spelled Nelly. See you there. Have a great night.